We're going to call the regular meeting of the Board of Supervisors, Celebration Community Development District. Today is September 24th and the time is 6 p.m. Present, we have Greg Pilak.
Here.
Tom Tuzin.
Here.
Jack McLaughlin.
Here.
Not present, David Hume and Cassandra Starks. Both are not present.
That's for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Motion on the agenda.
Move to adopt the agenda.
Second.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Public comments for anybody in the room. Do we have a mic for the? You might just put your mic up there just for public comments. Or if we have another one. My battery's dead.
Your battery's dead?
On the other one.
We already swapped it out.
If there's anybody from the public who has comments, just if you can come up and just state your name and address in 3 minutes.
David Rubin, 1255 Aquila Loop. Just wanted to address, we've had a number of meetings with people regarding the vegetation in the ponds behind our house. To clarify, I've seen a lot of emails that have sort of misstated what we are after. We at no point said we needed a pristine pond when we bought our property 4 years ago. There was vegetation back there. Currently, there's about, I would say, 10 times what was there when we purchased the property. So the vegetation's exploded. Over the past, I would say 2 to 3 years, we've asked about proper management of the vegetation. We've seen multiple vendors come and go. Apparently, they've not been responsive in doing their jobs. Most recently, we've had a meeting. I believe a few of the folks here had come out. There seems to be no confidence in the current vendor. They've had about 6 months to catch up to what the other vendor didn't do. So bottom line is we've started looking at alternatives because it appears that the vendors are unable to do the job. So we looked at permits and possibility of moving the vegetation altogether. I understand it's a shallow shell. I understand the importance of that. My background is Masters of Science in Wildlife Science. So I understand why vegetation needs to be there, but the fact is that if it were properly managed 2 years ago when we first requested some assistance with this issue, I wouldn't be standing here tonight. So I ask for your help. I know that when we talked last, we said, you said you had no confidence in your own vendors, so that we were going to look at additional vendors and see if it could be properly managed. At this point, there's a lot of non-aquatic vegetation that doesn't belong there in the first place. If that is removed, and if the large, call them small mountains of dead vegetation that are out in the middle there are removed, and if it's properly managed, then perhaps moving it doesn't need to be on the table. But I think the fact of the matter is that moving it might be a better option because it's not only affecting our property, but the property owners next to us. And probably more importantly, it's a mosquito breeding ground. We're well aware that there are many mosquito-borne disease opportunities out there. I know that there's some surveillance done just a few miles away, and what they're finding is a concern not only to us, but to the fishermen who use it, the people who use the bike path, the marathoners who run across every year. So we're asking again for some assistance with getting the vegetation managed as it should have been all along.
Let me ask a question for staff, because I've seen some emails go back and forth, but not all of them. So my understanding, the last conversation we had was it wasn't a issue of the vendor not managing it. It was an issue of just that's the design of the pond, it being a low shelf, that there's just a natural amount of vegetation there. So I want to make sure, is it a vendor issue or is it a?
There's two parts to it. I spoke to Cross Creek, and then Carrie and Russ can update you because they had the latest conversation. So when I spoke to Cross Creek, because that's who the vendor was when I got I think it was your son who I was communicating with.
Right.
Yeah, so I believe it was the son that I was communicating with on the behalf of his father. Is they went out there, Cross Creek went out and looked at it and said, yeah, there is a large area. It's a littoral shelf. The vegetation's supposed to be there. We can remove it all. That's what the board wants. It's going to be costly. But so they did spray and left that because that's not in their contract, physical removal. They spray these things and they let it decay, die, whatever it is. I think it's decay is the right word. And they let it settle in. So there is some of that out there.
And how long ago was that? Roughly
I don't know.
a year ago?
No. This is all recent.
Okay.
This is all recent.
It's been months, but I spoke to the vendor with Cross Creek, was out there spraying manually.
Mhm.
And he said, I'm doing this, but this really is not gonna do any good. I need to get my boat back here. So saw him again this past month, putting his boat in on the side pond, which is also an issue for us, but the side pond, and he had proceeded to start up the motor. Algae clogged the impeller, and he said, I don't know if I'll be able to do anything with the boat, but I'm gonna spray it anyway. Again, I would say a very small portion has been sprayed and it's been pretty ineffective and.
Yeah, I
touchy.
don't know what was sprayed. However, so when I talked to him, and I didn't talk to the tech, I actually talked to Derek, who's the biologist and chemist and stuff. And he said, yeah, it is large. He goes, there's some non-beneficial in there, some invasives. He goes, so let's say it's this big, right? He goes, we can go out and treat that and remove it and make it like this big. He goes, but it's not going to be this big. He goes, that's the bottom line, unless the board said, you know what, go ahead and remove it. But there are some invasives in there, I think cattails, stuff like that, that there is some that has been sprayed. Again, I don't know how much, but there has been some sprayed that is there. And it actually, it definitely doesn't look good. Now, they went out and had a conversation recent, Carrie and Russ.
So what was that conversation?
That is basically what this gentleman just said.
Okay.
And we told him we look into it, get with Cross Creek. And
So our efforts haven't been very effective at all then.
No, there's a high population of invasive weeds and species in that littoral shelf.
So do we have any idea what it costs to correct this?
We've asked for proposals and they're going to provide that. If you want, so there's two parts. If you want them to remove all of those in there, so there'll be that. And then if you want physical handheld removal or just to let it die and decay where it is. So there'll be two different proposals.
What we've already done was targeted as the second, right? It's supposed to kill everything off and just let it decay. And you're saying that's not working, or work, but it just doesn't look good.
Some of it is working, but
Yeah.
the dead matter is there and it's starting to accumulate behind it.
So it needs to be cleaned out.
It's not.
So here's the thing, because it's not deep.
It's very
right?
shallow.
There's nowhere to go.
But if you kill everything, it's just gonna stay there, right?
Right.
It's not going anywhere. It does need to get cleaned up. I haven't gone down that. I do really wanna see it because I've heard all these different stories. I'm just thinking, all right, I know it's there, but it's the other area in back. So
Yeah.
I would like to go see because this has been going on for a while. We really need to have a final answer what we're gonna do on this.
Yeah.
Because I know we're trying to spray this, and after a while, you're like, okay, it's not resolving itself.
Well, my question too is if they spray it and kill it, whatever the big answer would be, is there any promise that it wouldn't come back? I mean, when you get
No.
grass in there.
Yeah, I mean, it's
seed
gonna,
in there, it's just gonna.
and that's kind of what Cross Creek, at least in the conversation I had, and I've seen it in other, I mean, I work in other districts besides this one.
Right.
So first of all, when they spray it, it doesn't kill it overnight. It takes a little bit and then it starts decaying and it does. It's very unaesthetic, unpleasing. And then you either pay for manual removal or you let it decay and stay there. The other part is there, like Carrie said, there's a lot of invasives in there. And when I talked to Cross Creek, when this initially first came up, they went out and looked and Derek said, he goes, yeah, clearly this has not been maintained in a while. So then they started spraying and I don't know the last date they were on site. Do you guys know the last date that they were on site?
Told they were supposed to be spraying weekly now.
No, they do not.
They can't spray.
They can't spray weekly,
They can't do that.
but
No,
they can't do
legally
that.
cannot do it.
No, you can only, they can only spray so much chemicals. They can only do so many applications and I don't know the guidelines, but yeah, they're limited. They can't come out and spray every single week or, you know, anything like that. So it has been done. There are a lot of invasives in there that need to be, but again, if you want it to be cleared, not cleared pristine, but if you want that out, it's going to have to be manually removed because it's very shallow. It's just going to pile up, which is what it's done now.
Is the depth of that also because over years it's just been dead decaying matter kind of building where we've seen in other ponds where it starts to build it up? Is it part of it not just removing the
It was
plants, but
designed.
actually
It's
removing
no,
some of the
it's
shelf-
designed
shelves
that
to
way.
like- Okay.
Yeah, the littoral shelf, it's designed that way.
Isn't that the only one in Celebration?
It is.
Of course
It's the only pond with littoral shelf.
So.
So if we cleaned it out
Is it?
and let it grow back eventually,
I'm sorry?
we could clean it out and let it grow back eventually.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna grow back. Again, there's difference though. There's beneficials that you want there. And eventually that should cover the whole area, but there's non-beneficial that's in there, then that needs to be sprayed
But
and
if we clean it
removed.
once, I mean, there's not an easy way to keep the good and kill the bad. I'm just gonna have to keep killing everything in order to keep it clear.
No, I
No,
think you got a
there's,
regular maintenance program.
Yeah.
Treating the invasives when it belong there, if it was properly maintained. My observation is,
Right.
it went a while without being properly maintained,
correct.
Right.
and now we're kind of behind the eight ball trying to caught up.
All right, so the catch-up phase, what do we want to do? We
Well,
want to
let's-
clean it out and
I'd say let's get the quote back. I mean, if staff's already asked for that, let's see what the quote comes back at. And
Can we also find out get that quote, what's the timeline to go ahead and address it? Like when they start
Yeah.
to when they end, I just kind of want all those steps involved.
I can't
Because,
imagine it'd be that long to get a job done.
but there's just two parts to it. It's not just the spraying, but then it's, you know, if we have to physically clean it, and then there's also the hauling of the stuff out. It's not
Yeah.
Well,
just-
they've already sprayed it and killed it, right?
Well, I think there's still more
there's still a lot
spraying
more.
to
That's what
do.
I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's
Still,
really just a small portion that they have effectively sprayed,
Okay.
so there's a lot more that needs to be done.
But Ross and I would like to get competitive codes beyond Cross Creek. to be honest.
Yeah, you don't have to go with Cross Creek for this at all.
Okay.
But the understanding is unless this board wants that to be completely cleaned out, there's going to be vegetation
There's-
on the littoral
no,
shelf.
there will be. I'm not
Yeah.
expecting to have zero vegetation. That's why I want to go take a look at it, so I'll walk out there. So it's-
I will let you know when we get it back. And again, they want to reach out to other vendors besides Cross Creek to get.
Which I'm okay with
What's
that,
that?
but I don't want that to drag on past the October meeting.
No,
Okay.
no,
If
shouldn't
that's
at all.
A rapid.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
I mean, can you give me an order of magnitude, how many zeros we're talking at the end of this competitive? If we're talking $1,000,
No, it's gonna be over $1,000
Okay.
for sure. It's gonna be,
We wasn't even brought it up. It was 1,000.
oh yeah, we would have just done it. It's gonna be a few
Well,
thousands.
that's, again, I want to see it, and if it's like as bad as I'm hearing, because, yeah, go to the other part,
Right.
but not back there.
Mhm.
But just some pictures, I know there's the big thing in the middle, which isn't as bad, but there's stuff they said on the outer side, and it's all decaying and stuff, that does have to get cleaned up, so I want to see it, and go, no, we got it, we'll have to go ahead and do it.
And
Is that
we
also-
did explain when we met him that we couldn't get anything done by this board meeting. I think it was last week when we met.
I mean, really, we've been asking for 2 years, but it would be great if we could get this actually resolved.
Is there something else along the outer edge of the addressed by the landscaping company, or is it all in the pond?
It's,
No, it's the one.
No,
Okay.
it's vegetation in the water.
And Mark was with us and had the plans and it was built to design.
Yeah.
Just hasn't been properly maintained.
And it's not designed to be vegetation free. That's not what it's designed to do. But there are a lot of invasives in there. And I think Russ and them went out there and there's some cattails in there, which you definitely, want those. Those aren't beneficial.
right.
All right, well, thank you for coming in. And
Thank you.
anybody else for public comments?
Yes,
Come on up, sir.
Matt Luttinger, 1330 North Flagstone. I had sent in a electronic note about the trees in the curb between the sidewalk and the curb in all of Artisan Park, Parkview Townhomes with pictures of how overgrown the trees are. And wondering when, because you guys were the last people who actually trimmed the branches so that the grass doesn't die. Curb grass needs attention.
Well, we don't trim trees for grass to grow. We trim trees
Well, they're
off
unhealthy.
the roadway and off the sidewalk.
Yeah.
That's all
And
we do.
And they're covered all over the sidewalk.
But if they're hanging lower than 7 foot, we'll get them trimmed.
No, I haven't seen you.
Right,
or anybody else.
we've already staked out, I don't know, 550, 600 trees. They're gonna start next month.
Good.
So, and then we still have some money to do even more.
Matt, are you talking on Artisan East as you're going away from the club?
I'm on Flag, so if you go down, you go down Artisan West,
Yeah.
which is my townhouse.
Yeah.
All those trees are hanging way over the sidewalks.
Yeah, no, I know
Yeah.
when I'm heading from the clubhouse back to the house, I know that
Yeah.
there's some that are dropping low.
Let's,
So-
let's back up now.
Yeah.
We do not trim. If you look at the sidewalk, at the front of the sidewalk towards the road and the back of the sidewalk. Our policy now is we're not trimming anything past the back of the sidewalk.
Correct.
Towards the house.
So, but,
Reliability is.
some of the stuff he's talking about,
I know,
um,
it's
over the sidewalk.
well, and some of it's over the road. Is lower than 15 over the road is what I'm saying.
Yeah, so I think
Yeah.
it's
We
over,
will
under,
trim up.
yeah,
Yeah.
on the
yeah.
road.
Yeah. 8 feet over the sidewalk, 15 feet over the road.
What they're saying though, Matt, is it won't, it's, if there are any branches going out towards the actual townhouses and the residents that are higher than the 8 feet above the sidewalk, that's gonna be the responsibility of the houses with the property owner there to take care of any of the higher branches up there.
Correct.
And I wanted to understand that because I'm perfectly comfortable hiring my own tree surgeon and taking down everything in my zone of sidewalk.
Right.
So that it looks in good order again.
Yeah.
Okay, so
So Russ,
You
you'll,
can trim it up too if you want, just make sure they do a good job.
I have a tree surgeon and an art landscape
Let the sun
architect, and
go
everybody
through and all
knows.
that stuff.
Well, I'll have him come out with the tree surgeon. Alvin Riddle and works, for me personally.
so Russ, you can take a look back at,
An
Yeah, just so you
architect
can
though is
understand
different than an
exactly what I
arborist.
should do, what you guys will do. Okay, I had a second question. That is, Halloween is coming up, and I'm curious what improvements to the disaster called traffic management. Halloween.
gentleman sitting in the back of the green, may have something to say about that.
I know what I
Yeah.
would do.
I did text Captain Calvis right before the meeting, the district captain, and he did say he needs to have a meeting with us sometime in the next week or so to talk specifically about Halloween. Generally, though, I mean, what he has indicated to us 2 months ago, they do plan on bringing, usually they do about 20 deputies, on duty, and then we usually pay for what, about 4 or 5, something like that. They usually get about 25 deputies out there.
Can we close the town up and just use it as our town at that night?
No.
Wish. Wish.
Well, you see, the thing is, if you would have better traffic flow, for example, just forget about whether you can do it or not, right? Is that Waterside is the main thoroughfare in and out of the neighborhood. At the minimum, we should have no on-street parking on the night of Halloween on that road so that you could get traffic. What if someone had to get to the hospital, right? It's an impossibility.
So part of the conversation, it's up to the sheriff's department to, because it's the county roads. I mean, we're there to augment that with some of the deputies that we pay for out of the detail, but ultimately it's up to the sheriff's department to come up with a safety plan and a traffic plan on that. So that's what they're gonna come in and talk about, and that's usually part of the conversation. Hey, CDD, are you okay with us doing certain things? And we can certainly bring up, some ideas if we want to put some no parking zones.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else for public comment?
Yes, hi. I'm on Zoom. I actually just wanted to ask, it's Natalie Weichner with 105 Acadia. I had submitted a request for the hedges next to my home. I'm not sure if it's still addressed on this agenda. I wasn't able to find it, or if now is the appropriate time for me to ask.
I haven't ever seen it in Russ's report.
She did send in, someone sent in a request to trim the hedges.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not, well, actually, we have a right of way here, CDD does. There's hedges that are probably as tall as that ceiling.
Can you,
Down the side.
can you pull up, if you're familiar with the ticket, can you pull it up and just get with the cell server or my cell app and see if we can get an answer back to it? How long ago did you submit it, Natalie?
It wasn't too long ago, and it was to
Okay.
Jasmine.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, staff will definitely respond to the ticket, but you usually will come back to the my cell service app.
Technically, we could probably tell the homeowner to get all the hedges. They've been there for 20 years.
No, good.
But it's a right of way.
We don't need to address it now, just look at
Yeah.
what the right answer is.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
I'm sorry, I actually missed you there. Jasmine told me it was going to be added to the agenda. So is it officially on that, or is that it's not?
No, there's no agenda item, but they're gonna take care of it.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, great. So I'll just wait for a reply from Jasmine, or?
You'll get a reply through the app. You'll get a notice through the.
I don't think she sent it through the.
It was actually through Yahoo. I'm a brand new resident, and
Yeah,
this was-
she sent an email.
Okay, then yes,
So we
someone
need to
from staff will reply to the email.
So we need to create a ticket.
Excellent, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Take care.
This lady in the back was.
Yes, ma'am, come on up.
Second time's a charm.
It's okay. Jill Kirkpatrick, 1010 Tapestry Lane. Is it okay if I pass these around?
Sure. Yeah.
I'm here just to appeal that the CCDD has maintained their property that's on them. It's because it's encroaching upon the fence and my property. I have photographs here if you'd like to see. I didn't get to print this out.
Are these preserve areas?
Yes.
What it
Yes.
is right there is behind my fence, the CCDD property, and then it's Reedy Creek or oversight in the wetlands.
Right, so that's preserve area.
And so what is currently being done is CCDD trims from Stickley, comes and stops at my fence, and they come and then they stop at my fence on this side, and they don't maintain it. And again, I mean, I don't know, can I come and just show you the pictures? I'm recording to you, I don't know.
So
And
on the maintenance map, she is correct.
yeah,
We
so-
maintain these two, but her house and I think a couple others, right? We don't maintain behind it.
Oh, I see. It's growing. It's the
Right.
wild vines.
Yeah.
And well, not just that, but this is what it is behind my fence.
The homeowner has a right to vertically cut anything encroaching onto their property.
Well, I don't understand why it's being taken care of to one point and stop at my fence, and then goes to another point and stops right where my fence is.
My guess would be that the homeowners were maintaining that, so we
Actually,
just
they were.
kind of look at it and like, well, it's
Well-
nice grass, so we'll mow it versus, I haven't even really seen the pictures, but I'm sure
Yes.
you couldn't get a mower through there.
You can't.
No, because it's not been maintained, and I just have moved into the house in February.
And on the map, it's highlighted, it's an area where we're not even supposed to be doing anything back there for like
Well,
5, 6
and-
houses.
Yeah.
From the other email, completely unrelated, us being back behind houses, I got questions on later in the meeting. I did see where we are and where we aren't. I mean, because I'll tell you, I live right around the corner from you on Stickley. And I've got a fence that backs right up to the wood line as well. And I just go out there once or twice a year with a weed whacker and cut stuff back to keep it coming from the fence. And that's a CDD easement as well.
I know, but the thing is so what you were saying, you give me permission to go on the CCD property, and so I take liability and responsibility for anything that happens. How do I know where Reedy Creek and the wetlands start and where you start, whatever? Russ gave me the thing, just don't cut down any trees.
No, the homeowner has the right to vertically trim to protect your
I
property.
understand, but it's not up against my fence.
Yeah, but your fence isn't on the property.
Right.
No fence is on the property.
Your fence is set back from the
So,
CDD
so if
property.
you went behind there, you still have a piece
Okay,
of
but
property.
why is it that these parts are taking?
That I
care of
don't
mine?
know.
That's
that-
why I
That
want to talk
doesn't
about,
seem
Yeah.
fair.
and that's what I want to discuss
It's
later in
been
the
that way.
meeting but
Long time ago.
generally behind houses, like I said, mine's one example of them. Generally, we do not do easement areas behind houses. And your question about doing stuff on CDD property, that's no different than in the front of your house, the easement area between the sidewalk and the street is
Okay.
also CDD property and homeowners are responsible to maintain
Correct,
this.
I understand, but my concern is it's because I back up to the wetlands and Reedy Creek. I don't wanna encroach, I don't wanna do something that I'm not supposed to there.
Yeah.
And
Cut-
be liable, responsible.
Cutting back vines that are, as Angel said, if
No,
it's-
there's more than vines.
right, but if it's encroaching on and damaging your property.
Yeah.
You've got a right to reasonably cut that back. Jane, correct me if I'm
Yeah,
wrong.
that's correct.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I've actually contacted Osceola County too as a code enforcement, because this, I really feel that I don't need to take care of that strip when it's all taken care of on both sides. I
Well-
wouldn't have said anything if nothing was taken care of anywhere else.
Well, and
Okay.
that's what we'll review, because we might come back and review it, and those won't be taken.
Because if you see on the
If, I mean, you know what I'm
The county
saying?
might
If-
tell us,
Right,
stay away now, all of that.
well, that's fine, but then it's a fair thing. Because
no, I get it.
right now, is if you see it, now from the aerial pictures where I circled red, it's like they maintain and then they stop.
And we're not questioning that just because you brought it up. Like I said, there was a totally separate residence, similar type of thing about being maintained back behind the houses. And I have
Right.
questions as to how and why we're doing
Right, because even Reedy Creek, when I contacted them, they said, oh, there's been other homeowners that have been asking the same question. I said, well, I don't wanna get into the wetlands of Reedy Creek.
Mhm.
And so if you're saying I'm supposed to just maintain this much, but still I'm on solid, I don't know where it starts and stops.
But I mean, even in a conservation, again, correct me if I'm wrong, even in a conservation area, if a tree is dead and leaning over and threatening my house, even in a conservation area, I can take.
You
a
can
resident
take
can
the
take care
part
of
on your yard.
Yeah.
Correct, we can,
Only part on your yard.
Right.
That's it. But
are you looking to do more than that? You're just trying to clear it back from your fence, right?
I'm just trying to clear it back from my fence.
Right, and that's what I'm saying, you've got the
Yeah.
right to clear it out to your fence, just don't go back 20 feet
Okay.
beyond that.
Yeah, but it was interesting because one of the comments that was made earlier in the office, they were gonna go, oh, it's gonna cost her a lot of money to do this now because it's never been maintained. And I just think the whole process isn't very fair when it's been maintained on either side and stops right at my fence. I just,
Like I said, we're
I-
gonna discuss that later, that's one of the issues I had in the management field report that we'll talk about later, generally.
and to have the answers like, oh, well, it's never been done before, to me, that's like, well, why hasn't it? The other parts have been done, why is it just stop at my house?
yeah, I don't have an answer.
I mean, that.
That's what we're gonna find
That's
out.
what we're gonna discuss later.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anybody else for public comment in the room? No? All right, moving on to third-party reports. Carla?
I do have something while you're on the topic of CROA. So Celia McFadden reached out to me
Oh, this is.
a month or two ago. And Cassandra obviously is up for election in November. Cassandra currently sits on the Community Connection Committee. And they're looking for the district to designate a replacement. They just had a meeting here recently, and then their next meeting, I think they meet quarterly, if I'm not mistaken. I really don't know the schedule. But so that's what they're looking for. So if the board's wanting someone from the district to sit on that board, then I need to let them know. She's emailed me about where the board's gonna go with this.
So do you know how many people attend these
I
meetings?
don't.
Cause I've never heard anything like feedback or
I had,
response in that.
I had somebody yesterday, on Saturday, talk to me about that meeting. But I don't know how many people attended it. She was attending the meeting.
What was the commentary?
Well, actually, she was talking about the Veterans Club, and she said she
Oh.
was about the Veterans Club at the meeting. So there must be several other groups that are talking.
I mean, listen, we've
Do you have
ping ponged this for,
Well, look, I don't mind doing it as long as I don't have a conflict. Do you have any idea what the dates are?
I don't.
the next week, November.
And that's what I looked at for staff. And I mean, I can tell you definitively, I can't attend. I don't.
I'd ask Angel because it's still my opinion, when we brought this up a couple months ago, that it shouldn't be one of us. It should be staff doing this. There should be somebody who's there representing the district, not as an elected official, but just as, hey, here's what CDD does and does not do. If they want to come and talk to board members, they can come and talk to board members. be necessarily. I don't even know from a sunshine perspective, I'm a little concerned us going out and somebody accidentally saying something in a meeting or a public forum, whatever else. I just think it's safer and better that staff, I think there's value in the engagement. I just don't think we should be the ones to do it. So I asked Angel if she could, or Carrie or somebody.
Yeah,
else.
I can tell you definitively, I can't attend. And that's something, I mean, Carrie can look and see. I don't know when their meetings are. I know they're at night in the evening.
They're usually 6 or 7.
Yeah, I know that. And I mean,
I would like to
I
get
don't-
some data points from. the
yeah,
meeting.
I don't
mean,
know if
like,
that's doable for staff.
If 3 or 4 people attend, I don't see the value. Especially when, you know, we have, websites and a couple other different things that will actually show exactly what we do.
So what, do you want to wait until the next meeting's in November? Do you want to go to the next meeting and sit in on it? Is that what you're suggesting?
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't mind doing that once, but I think as the new board comes in, maybe we should all have a discussion to see. I'm curious again to see how many people attend.
Okay.
You know, and how that's.
Can we just plan on maybe for the next meeting, you be the person that goes and
I can do that. What day is that?
they haven't said it yet.
No.
They said it was sometime in November.
Okay.
Why don't you just go represent?
Okay.
Do the.
I'll do that.
and then you-
Represent.
There you go. You come and figure out if there's value. in it.
That was easy.
All right, where's my button?
There you go.
That was easy.
That was easy. Sorry, Jack.
All
I
right.
know you really wanted to do something with them.
Well done it.
All right. Did you have anything else pro wise, man?
No, that was all I had.
All right. Next one was Sheriff's Department.
You want to back up to incorporation,
Oh, I'm sorry, Corporation, my bad.
Yeah, she skipped my thunder.
right?
Yeah, our outside counsel neighbors, Giblin had written a letter back in May to Department of Commerce. And basically said to them, you suggested we hold a referendum due to the population count. But now that 190.047's been repealed, you feel we don't need to do that. And they wrote back and said, well, since the law is no longer in effect, we don't have jurisdiction to handle that matter. Of course, they could have answered while the law was in effect, but they didn't. It was a complete punt.
Yeah, so now it's like,
Yeah,
Kind of sounds like a.
oh no.
yeah, it was a
So,
definite punt.
so can I ask,
So
from a pragmatic perspective, if we just
three,
close the books?
and that was, I suggested we
Mhm.
get an attorney general opinion, but that takes months and time. Heather from Neighbors Giblin said we could get our local political legislative group and ask them to push commerce. And then how did she say it? She said, honestly, given that the previous letter was agency guidance and not a requirement.
Right.
She said it's not a binding directive. So she said, I don't think there's an obligation to proceed at this point since the referendum no longer exists.
So do we just need to put it on the agenda for next meeting for a closeout?
I think we could close that. at
You can
this
close
point.
it out
I mean,
now.
We have to direct her. Do we want her to go further and
Yeah.
I mean, I would,
reach our legislative board, or
I would
just
still like
say-
the final report from the consultant, just as we paid for it. I'd like it as an artifact. I understand there's great humor in that comment, but we paid for an artifact. I'd
I
like
think
to
we
get that.
have the final report, according to him.
I can check. I know I sent a bunch of comments.
Yeah,
I'm
and
not
he
sure if we
hasn't
ever got the
done
final report. I don't think he
Anything
ever
with
finished
any
it,
of the comments,
because he heard that, he said, well, 190 is getting
Yeah,
repealed, so
so-
we don't need
I
to.
move to terminate this whole discussion on the
issue.
incorporation.
Well, no, and I'm not in disagreement, but if we paid for a report, I'd like to get a copy of it.
What is
I
it,
mean, we'll
what
have
is
it-
it gonna tell you?
we'll have it for our files,
What
but
is it
yeah.
gonna tell you?
If it comes back 5 or 10 years from now, it could tell us a lot that we don't have to go through and do.
You had to do it all over again, 5 or 10 years.
Outdated information.
But it still becomes we paid for a report that was $40,000. I hate to just say, oops, at the end of it, $40,000 because the law changed all of a sudden.
we didn't pay him $40,000, by
No.
the way. Not even
Quite a bit
close,
less than that, it was
Yeah.
like 10 or 20.
Yeah.
It was much less.
much less, even with
Why don't we-
outside counsel
So
bill.
he's not gonna expect the balance of it because he's a 2 yard line and now all of a sudden. we
No,
say
no,
there's a
his,
law
it's,
change?
it's time and material. We budgeted $40,000.
But it was a certain amount for the report, and then
Mhm.
coming to meetings, he'd charge
Yeah.
extra. We'll find out
Yeah.
if he ever made the final changes and it was a charge to get it done.
Okay.
But.
Yeah,
get
we
it.
will have that regardless for our files, for sure.
So Jan, we can terminate the discussion on this, so?
Yeah, I mean, we could, if we
I'm-
really want to get something
Right.
concrete, we can.
Well, do we,
do a
my
check.
question is, do we need to
Um,
vote on it at the next meeting officially?
Oh, yeah.
No.
You can do it this.
Do there?
I think it's a corporation, we'll just take the advice of counsel that, with the previous
Okay.
guidance being purely not a directive, that we
I
can
just can't
remove
believe
reliance.
we go to our representatives, they
Yeah.
don't wanna give us
Yeah, we'd have to go to representatives to then go to Commerce and say, give an opinion, which.
And they're gonna go
against,
back and say,
wouldn't
well,
do
we
it.
can't, they have the authority to, but we used to, but I'm like.
And we can ask the Attorney General an opinion on what the law means, and
Going on.
they'll say, well, Commerce, who's in charge of it, didn't make it.
We're gonna spend more money on legal time trying to figure out an answer. That's not what we're looking at.
So you have a first and a second.
All's in favor?
Aye. And do you want to tell the audience why we're not doing the incorporation?
Well, got
The law.
3 years of meetings.
Yeah,
to
one
say
ninety point
that.
oh 47 as of January 1st no longer requires a population of over 10,000 people to hold a referendum on incorporation.
And and then we had statements from people who were actually in charge of the, I guess the commission or whoever was in charge of adding cities, that we're never gonna add another city before.
Yes.
Right off the bat, so go ahead and do your thing, but we're never adding.
Yeah,
The,
the
And it was-
political climate
okay.
then would probably never.
the law required us to do the study because we hit thresholds, and now that they changed the law in the middle of our study and said you're no longer required to do this,
And with the report that was presented, it didn't appear would be
It- it was
financially
gonna be
feasible to even-
financial.
completely non-viable solution.
So I think that one is wrapped up.
And we can even take that off the agenda for next week.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Progress.
Jump on the.
Now the Osceola Sheriff Department, sir.
Sorry.
Did you have any comments, questions?
I was told to be your presence, I.
Oh, I appreciate you coming out for us.
I got some questions.
Yeah.
I have questions.
Get me on the tape, sorry, I'm sure you're.
They threw you right in the fire.
Yes.
Go with that.
Well, we're finally starting to get copies of the blotter, which has been important. We've requested for many years now. I didn't see any detail reports at all in our package this time. We've had a number of accidents that have caused damage to our property that I've yet to see accident reports on. Specifically in North Village. How many street poles?
North Village.
How many street poles did we lose in 2
We
weeks?
lost 5 poles in 2 weeks.
The 2 week period. I never saw one of those accident reports.
It usually takes 2 weeks, 3 weeks to get it.
Are you knocking them down, Chad?
And I believe Jasmine has asked for all
Yeah.
4 of the spots.
So how long does it take to get an accident report?
Anywhere 2 to 3 weeks, like you said.
And the thing is too, if I'm not mistaken,
The report's done by the end of the shift. Deputy will have the report done by the end of the shift, and then it comes to the supervisor, they approve it, and then it gets sent on. So then the record should have it within 7 to 10 business days,
or it could be the highway patrol too, correct?
could be.
Well, who came out on those accidents?
We don't have the
You
report.
should know, come on now.
Well, that's my point, is the gentleman here is not from Highway Patrol, and we're talking to the wrong person.
Well, this is not highway patrol. This is also.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I don't know.
A lot of times highway patrol comes in there,
For
accidents.
Okay, let me back up. Did we call 911 and say, hey, I need law enforcement in general to come out and,
it was like 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, we
heard from
didn't.
Pete.
okay,
Yeah.
so did anybody from the office call for a report?
I believe Jasmine has been working on getting a hold
So
of.
then we need to figure out who's
Highway
asking call,
Patrol,
whether it's
yeah.
Highway Patrol or the Osceola County Sheriff's Office, and figure out.
Trust me, we want to, because we're already $30-something thousand in the hole on light pole.
Right. So we need the money from.
Yes.
So I have a question. I'm in our famous back porch and front porch.
Oh, jeez.
And when I drive around Celebration, it is a free for all. On cars, electric bikes, electric scooters. I mean, you can purposely see people trying to game the car drivers and go in and out. It's a game. I know everybody says that, somebody's gonna get killed. But the reality is that I don't say I don't care about that, but the trauma that could impact multiple families and habits is just getting out of control. And we have laws, and I know you can't have an incident every quarter. I get that. But it's, you just stand in one corner when school gets out and you're like, oh my God.
Why don't we, put that into the directions on our details, we have a detailed connector now. So we specify what problems you're having, we can address it.
I think we have.
The detail units,
We have.
if we're not, and if the deputies aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing, we need to know about.
Well, I think part of the problem is, and this has been an ongoing, so we're not trying to ambush you on it. This is
Yeah.
something we go back before Captain Calvis got here, from like Captain Pinderman 2 or 3 years ago. A lot of it's around the e-scooters and the e-bikes. And I will tell you, my kid's one of the ones that rides in the school. And I tell them, stay on the sidewalk and don't go crazy. But you have certain number of kids that are getting out there and they're weaving through traffic and everything else, blowing through stop signs. The issue that I have heard, and again, it's not our thing because we're not law enforcement, is a lot of it comes down to, well, there are certain thresholds. If he's doing 16 miles an hour, it's not okay, but 15 miles an hour is okay. It's a certain horsepower here, it's a certain size there. And what the deputies know as far as what they can and can't enforce, depending on the size of it. We don't know any of that, but as Tom's saying, we're catching all the inbounds from the community on, okay, what can be done with this to try to get some enforcement on it. So we're willing to commit the details, but I'd also like to get some on-duty guys as well.
We're spread so thin for on duty. As far as detailing, all we do is put that extra sentence or two in the job description with HR.
Have we already?
Well,
We have with Ashley, but I'll make sure it's happening still.
well, and it's not just electric bikes and scooters, as much as we don't like to blame them for everything. It's just residents. They're slowing down the stop sign and going through. Because I know a lot of them, I'm like, well, look, everyone is just, they don't even stop at the stop.
So what I'd suggest is turning the comment a little bit. Number one is the timing of when we would schedule the details. If we can target them, I think, Tom, your comment is fine would be, it's around school times. When school's going in, school's coming out. So if we can get enforcement there.
Yeah, high schools and K.
Yeah, and get it more centralized kind of around the school areas. Not so much out on like by the hospital, and I know they set out by the church and all that in some of the outer places, and that's fine. I'm not saying ignore it, but the issue here becomes once you take the school, it's a density map around there and kind of spread out from there, and particularly around the downtown area, just bikes and just people kind of general anything, you know, and I appreciate that there's not a lot of on-duty help. But to Tom's point, up until somebody gets smacked by a car.
Oh, it's gonna be bad. But
it's gonna happen.
We can adjust the times on the detail.
The other thing is, when we've spoken to deputies before, they'd say, well, the law isn't very clear. But the law states that if you're riding a motorized vehicle on a border road, it's 16 and over, and you have to have a license. None of these kids have licenses, no helmets or
The
anything.
motorized vehicle definition, small enough electric.
When they're blowing past me. Right, I mean, they're all blowing past everybody. 2 or 3 are on a bike at a time. And this will lead me to further discussion on our coverage in the town center area. Because I don't think we have details out there. I thought we did.
Friday and Saturday, on Friday and Saturday.
Friday and Saturday night.
I was there Friday and Saturday night.
Yeah, he called me. But
And
according to them,
literally,
that's what we're.
the bikes were hiding around the car and they'll speed up and they'll cut right in front of the car as people are slamming brakes. It was a game. They all were in on it. That's very dangerous.
So let me suggest this. Captain Calvis already texted me and said, hey, we need to talk on the Halloween safety piece. Why don't we just tag this in now that he's got 6 months under his belt and I think he's got a little bit better handle.
Okay.
Because I think it's some of it's going to be our timing and when we schedule deputies and what we're specifically asking for. The other one I was going to bring up was parking, on-street parking. You got some folks that are parking right up to the intersection. You can't see around corners, things like that. Just general parking enforcement, I think.
That's an issue every year.
Yep, and I know some of the hesitation has been, well, because we're paying for the details, you know, and I've had some of the captains say, well, you know, residents are going to complain. Okay. Yeah,
It's fine.
that's okay.
Whatever the law is.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, and I appreciate you taking the things in roads. It's just residents are they're very frustrated. Well, yeah, but the residents are just frustrated and rightfully so. You know,
I don't know how we're gonna fix that. Maybe Captain Calvis can come up with other solutions, but every year traffic goes out to 1I-2 and backed up
oh, as far as
to
Halloween.
I-4.
Yeah, and there's a certain reality. There's so many cars. There's only, and short of you guys shutting down the roads, which isn't our call. Like it's no Halloween, so whatever. But short of shutting down the roads, I don't think it makes any difference.
Can I make a comment? Can I make a comment?
Not necessarily. No. We'll have another public comment. But again, that's gonna be up to you guys for
Yeah.
for how you want to decide it. Yes, sir. So, thank you.
Thank
Yes,
you.
sir. Appreciate it. Cross Creek Environmental. Is there special item for them?
No, we need to discuss, I think Russ and Carrie have information to share on that.
Really, want me to- I'm just, be honest with you, I'm just not too thrilled with them. Even the Canes I want to speak with it take 2.5 months for them to start on
Yeah,
that.
and
If it's gonna take that long,
well,
we're doing back here, it's gonna be waiting until January.
so one of my concerns, because I met with them and yes, Carrie and Russ, at the beginning of August, right? And we identified areas we've already reviewed a month and a half before, and then we need to get done. So, okay, yeah, we're gonna do this in our contract, they could plant more lilies and all this other stuff.
Yep.
Great. 1 week goes by, second week goes by, third week goes by. And ponds that we're gonna hit and seeing, guys,
Excuse me.
yeah, it's hard to have me. It really is an issue. Because they are not, I mean, if you go down Waterside, we played a Waterside 3 times over 3 weeks. And it's still turning green.
I mean,
You reached out to them, Thursday or Friday?
Oh, yeah.
You
we
think they would have been here right away?
all right, so let
they're not
me ask it this way. If we're going to our 4th pond vendor in 2 years,
Yeah.
I'm not adverse to it if we're not getting any. However,
This is the third. Sorry.
you're 3 of this.
Cytex, Solitude, and now Cross Creek.
Right, and now we're going to.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah.
I can't count.
You better write that.
I'm asking math.
You better write that down.
Do we have? Are our expectations being accurately reflected in RFP? Whether it's responsiveness to quotes or, I mean, if there's an enforcement side that you guys are missing, because that's always my first question, like whether it's landscaper or whatever, hey, have we gone and withheld money? That's really the big stick.
So that's not the protocol, right? That's not what you do. You don't immediately go to, we're withholding money. What we do.
It's a progressive.
Yeah,
conversation.
so where we are now.
Point where he's recommending and staff's recommending we're terminating him.
Well, I didn't recommend we're terminating it. I'm
Yeah.
just saying, I'm not happy.
So here's the deal.
Same here.
We did it with United, right? Things were getting a little funky, out of control. So we called them in. We had kind of a come to Jesus. Hey, look, here are the expectations. You're not delivering. You need to fix it, cure it. What'd they do? They jumped on it, started fixing it, been in the office with them, talking, reports, all these things. We did the same with Cross Creek. And Tom has been a part of it because he's the maintenance person.
Mhm.
We've had those conversations. We've sent email after email about any issue that comes in. I've called them. I've had conversations. Yep, we have a tech coming. We have this. So there's 2 parts. Responsiveness is not great with Cross Creek. Treatment. So pond treatment of water, it's not cut and dry. You don't come out and treat a pond and all of a sudden it's miraculously clear. There's no algae. There are algae blooms. Ponds are going to have algae blooms. The warm weather right now, FWC, as you all know, came out here. They're having fish kills across the state of Florida. They're having algae blooms across the state of Florida. It's the weather. It's very hot. Then all of a sudden you get all this rain, cools it up. It flips the pond, right? So treating something, and I understand it's not aesthetically pleasing. I get it. But there's a process. You can't just dump all this stuff in there and everything be beautiful. You can't.
And that's where I'm segregating.
There's 2
expectation.
components.
Well,
Yeah.
but within the expectation management, there's expectation management with the community of, and we hear it all the time on back porch, side porch, over porch, wraparound porch, whatever else.
But it doesn't make it so.
I agree with you 1,000%. And that's my
you know.
point is, well, why can't it be when Disney manages this town? Well, because I've got 30-year-old ponds, unless we want to go spend 6 figures.
You don't have a
ponds.
Disney budget.
Well, but they also changed the amount of, okay, way back when, you could press spray almost anything you want in Florida.
And you can't.
Do that anymore.
And here specifically, you can't use, is it copper?
Yeah, you can't use copper.
Because of Reedy Creek, so we can't.
Expectation management of the community, I don't want to say it's not that I'm not concerned about it, but that's gonna be handled separately. I'm worried about expectation management of staff on how do we get a contract that we're getting the responsiveness? Because right now we're on the third one that I'm hearing the same issues.
Yeah.
It's the lack of responsiveness.
Yeah.
And
That's the biggest thing, Greg, is with these vendors, with any vendor, right? There may be some service things, there's gonna be things that delay.
There'll be
It's,
some
it's
challenges.
all about responding and how you respond to it to correct the issue. Right? United's a perfect example. I mean, there were things going badly.
Right.
And we had a meeting, they corrected those. They were on that path and they still are. They're doing great now. It's looking a lot better. But we've had numerous conversations with Cross Creek to date, and it's the response time, I will tell you, are they probably treating according to contract? Yeah, they probably are. But the response time on some things that specifically have been pointed out that actually we're paying extra for, right? To weed all of that water side, all those canna lilies, get all those weeds out and all that stuff. We paid extra to get that done, and it took them 5 weeks,
5 or
6 weeks.
It's just.
Is it done yet?
No, we met with them and he goes, I'll have a crew out next week.
Yeah.
And it was a month before anybody.
well, but again, this goes back to me, contract language, when we're getting the quotes from them. Where we have a habit of not putting schedules on things like with the sidewalks. Hey, you can't do it because of rain and everything else. Put a schedule on them and put that as a binding schedule in the
But
contract.
you can't do that because there's things, now their contract, yeah, they're supposed to be out here treating X and X. That's pond maintenance.
Why can't I do the same thing with the one-off projects? Hey, you told me you're gonna go pull canna lilies, you got 30 days. You got 30 days.
Because when it's extra enhancement things that you're paying for, they have to schedule that. And if they tell us, you know, we can't get there for a month, but you can't put, and correct me if I'm wrong, I mean, you can't
Well,
put
but-
that
but
in
what
contract.
My point, I'm not saying put something unrealistic in there, but
Yeah.
as they're providing us a quote.
You could put it
they
in
should be
there and
providing
see.
us a schedule.
Saying,
And
okay,
if we look at that schedule
if
and
it's
say,
not complete in 30 days, it's automatically
Right,
canceled.
and I'm not saying
Yeah.
post something that's, hey, 2 days, but if we're in agreement when they give us the quote and saying, hey, 30 days is the date, right?
Mhm.
That ought to be contractually binding them on day 31, there ought to be
But
penalty clauses.
unfortunately, when they
But-
give us a quote, they'll tell us, we'll get it done in 60 days.
That's
And
right.
then what do you do?
Then we go to
So-
another vendor.
Well, that's okay, but in this
Yeah.
particular situation. Whether it's in the contract or not.
Yeah.
You know. I don't know, I get the feeling we're just not important, because things aren't, I mean, I go around some ponds. You know, Artisan Park has some, Kill Reserve. There's, in South Village, a couple other places. But these are areas that they got to be so bad. Now, I've seen areas that they treated and they're getting better. I see them, they're clearing up. I do see that. But when you say, hey, we're having these 6 ponds, the problem is, just like Angel said, we know that you can't clear a pond in a day or two.
No.
You put the stuff
It's
in,
not
and it could be
realistic.
anywhere from 1 to 3 weeks, right?
Mhm.
So the quicker they can get to that pond, the better. If you ignore it for a month, that means the residents get to see it for another month. So now
Yeah.
it's 2 months
Double.
where it looks like crap. That's the problem. That's the problem. And so. But they're just not even responsive. I gotta tell you, you know, I hate to say it, the previous vendor was more responsive than these guys. These guys they started on June 1st. They had every opportunity to go, okay, we're treating this, we're getting on top, we're gonna.
So if the action is a come to Jesus meeting, then do a come to Jesus meeting, and if it needs to be with.
We had that.
Oh, and
We
that's
can
my
have-
point.
Yeah, we can have
Are you
another.
guys asking to go to RFP? I'm fine going to RFP if that's what you guys are recommending.
I'm gonna leave it to Russ and they deal with them.
But if we're gonna go to
Side.
RFP. We can't go out with the same document that we went last time. We're now on our fourth.
We
time
can
of having the same
modify the
problem.
document on some things, see what would legally be in there.
Yeah,
My-
some you can't modify
I
it.
understand that, but. Listen, this is very disappointing because.
It
you know,
is.
We try to do the best we can to go ahead and maintain everything. I think, you know, staff has been calling them, emailing them, I'm CC'd on them. It's not like we're not trying. But when they go radio silent, that's a very big
Can
problem.
we break up part of the job site and get another vendor to do part of it?
You tell me, you wanna split the town in half and do 2 vendors? I mean,
That's another vendor you have to manage.
my only resistance to that, is this really a question of scale? I mean, we've got. How many, 50, 60,
It's
70
not a
cars?
question
I
of
don't think
scale
so. Right.
because
I
other
don't know that
other
it's gonna
people
really
have
solve
been successful here doing
We
the
used to have,
pond.
Scitex had one guy that did all of our ponds.
Yeah,
We never ever had a problem. His wife got cancer. They got another field.
And that's why I say
manager.
splitting that between two, I don't feel like it's gonna do anything other than create.
Side
Two
text,
artists instead of one.
we had a little blip with side text, and that was because they had a change of account managers out here. But they had been out here for a while, and the ponds, to my knowledge, were great. Well, they had a blip in account manager. They started going downhill, decided to go with Solitude. Solitude did great for a while, and then they just kind of started tapering off. Which again was an account manager, because the account manager that was here is now at Aquagenics. So again, you're only as good as the account manager you get assigned.
So again, if the problem is an account manager, put that as a contractually binding thing. This is your account manager. That's why we bring managers in.
Yeah.
This is the guy you're proposing. This is
Agreed,
the guy I want to see here for the life of the contract.
agreed. Well, we ran into that issue with United. That was part of the conversation
Right.
because the account manager wasn't here. He was out for a little bit with some emergency stuff.
Yeah.
And that's when it started going downhill. So now he's back and they're doing great.
Right.
So
I would,
Not a pro or con statement on Cross Creek. Last month, I said it might be in your best interest to have the board meeting. Nobody was here.
that's right.
All
And
right,
I
so,
said, this board meeting, might be in your best interest to attend the board.
Right. They're on the agenda, they're not here.
all right, so Carrie and Russ.
Yeah.
What is your confidence in Cross Creek?
I don't have any.
I'd like to hear them answer.
Russ is smiling.
Come on, Russ. Give me
I'm trying to give the short answer.
I myself would like to break this job up into half real quick, see, I've got another guy in mind, see what he does. And if he does really damn good, then
I don't like splitting it into two.
I don't know about splitting, but I'd like to go to an RFP.
Draft up an RFP before the
Let's
next
do
meeting.
an
But
RFP.
I would like to see what specifically you're gonna put different in there.
What we can put in different, I think
Yeah.
that's.
Yeah, run it past us, we'll take a look and see
Yeah.
what else we can think of.
We'll look at the
Let's look at
scope
scope of work.
and
We have to
see
have
if
some
there's
sort of
anything we can
estimate.
add, and then maybe put escalation timeframes, if something's proposed, you've got X amount of days to, something like that we could probably put in. But as far as the scope and treatment plan, I don't know that there's that much we can mess with that.
Probably not. That'd be a regular basis, but the special items and the one-offs,
Absolutely.
we need to have more response.
well, you think with the site, you got 4 or 5 ponds, it just look like, you know what, hey, send a guy out there the next day and.
All right, let's
So.
get the RFP, bring it in the next meeting.
Okay, so you want to bring it in and you guys review it, and then you're going to determine to go out to RFP?
I would
Because,
like to see a draft. I would like
Okay.
to understand what we're changing
got it.
before we go jumping into the fourth contractor. Because
All right.
everything consistent with the last 3 contractors is us. So I want to know what we're doing there.
Is it worth having another conversation with Cross Creek? We have them in other
Oh.
districts.
Oh, we definitely,
Yeah, absolutely.
You want to
And
spend the
they're
next 3
doing-
days beating them up and they come back and they found Jesus by the next meeting? That's terrific.
Yeah, and again, I think it comes down to account manager, because I have them in 3 districts that I manage, and the ponds look amazing.
Jesus gets used a lot on this meeting.
Yeah.
Me, Jesus, I mean, it's just like.
Say Jesus.
Jeez.
He's busy now.
Next item, consent agenda.
Move to approve it.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, business matters, resolution 2024-16, setting rule hearing regarding memorials and donations.
This was from last month where we wanted to expand the memorial benches to add doggy.
Yep.
Is there anything else you want to add? If not, we just set the,
Nope.
okay, so we'll set the, hearing for November. It'll be the 19th, that's the 26th in here, but.
You're good. Okay, move
And
to
if you have
approve.
any other comments, we can make it at the next meeting or.
So Jack,
I move to approve resolution 2024-16.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, 7B, resolution 2024-17.
This one takes a little more discussion. This was the potential pool on towing.
Yep.
And we had the one alley we were concerned about.
Yep.
And now you're talking about adding all the alleys and sets and parking. And so what this does is basically sets up that we would engage a towing company. We use the one the county has approved. If the county hasn't approved one, we have to go out and get a towing company. They would have to put up appropriate signs at the entrances and exits to probably here and the parking lot, but they will tow. So it's not a matter of giving warnings and all. So the question is, are you comfortable with having parking in the alleys towed?
I
And
think,
do we need to?
I think simply the sign will be enough deterrent.
Well, we can't put the sign up without having a towing company.
But I
ready
would
to
approve,
start towing.
I would move to approve the
There's a
resolution.
very important caveat here.
Yeah.
We've seen this in so many other districts. You get a towing policy. And I haven't read this one, Jan, but did you put in there that they have to be called?
No,
Okay, that's gonna be the caveat because some will just start driving around and if they find stuff, they will start towing.
So
and some want to be called, but then the question is who calls?
Mhm.
Do we allow residents to call? Do we have to have a board member call and then people complain?
Let's go with staff calling.
well, see, so
Yeah, it's a
So
great idea. I
here's-
just had another board decide,
So-
maybe we don't want to do this after looking at it.
well,
Mhm.
here's my problem. You could have a resident that pulls up behind their driveway and they're unloading things.
Groceries, yeah.
They're groceries or just they went to Home Depot and they got 18 bags of mulch, right? And they're gonna be there for like 5 minutes and then they're gonna move their car, right? You could have a.
You're not gonna have somebody sticking their leg in the car in a tow truck and by the guy just starts lifting the car.
I know that, but they could go inside, you know, for a few minutes. I get it. The alleys have to be cleared. The issues we had hasn't been with residents. The issues we've had are vendors parking all over the place.
I would
No,
not support.
residents.
Well, what kind of neighbors do you have?
Not my neighbors.
I would not.
Is it
support-
Jesus?
I would not support
You can drive.
having a free for all where they're allowed to roam. I think it absolutely has to be on call, because again, the issues we're having, what's the issue we're trying to tackle are very specific where things are left out there. The time I called you that somebody was parked out there for
Yeah.
3 or 4 nights in Stetson parking lot, or hey, we know they're parked in certain areas. I don't see a bigger problem here that people are constantly blocking alleyways that we feel like we need to be in New York City. I think it just becomes an on-call thing that comes from staff.
Okay.
That's my.
I would prefer that. I would prefer
I
that,
agree.
because otherwise I think we're opening up. to it.
Yeah, no, that's the concern I have.
Well, and I
If
appreciate
somebody's
the concern.
neighbor pulls up and
if
runs in and
something's-
gets a coffee and then ends up getting towed. that's
Well,
gonna
listen,
be
if
a
something's
problem.
truly that much of an emergency, then a resident feels like they can call 911 and say, hey, the road's being blocked, and the sheriff can get somebody to tow somebody, so we don't have to solve every problem, so.
Great.
Okay,
How's Longview Alley, Jack?
Well, you have little red signs up there now.
Is it
so-
working?
So far, yeah.
Did you have anything else on the towing policy, Jan, or is that?
no, that's really it, and we can
Okay.
make that would be called first.
Okay.
By
Yeah,
staff. So that ends, people would have to let you know.
So do we need a motion for that?
Yeah, it'd be a motion to set a hearing for November, so that would give you next month to talk about it. I'll
Okay.
try to tweak. the
I
whole
motion
thing
to
a little
approve, so.
bit.
break it a
Second.
bit.
Yeah, it's
Favor?
November 19th,
Aye.
November 26th.
All right. 7C, right of way utilization agreement for renewal with two guys.
Approved.
This is the franchise agreement, the 6%, and it's just been going back and forth, getting comments, and
It's done, right?
it's 99% done, so.
Are there any
just look for-
substantive changes or?
No.
Happies to glads?
And it's pretty much the same agreement, same amount. It's the
what-
most that anyone's getting, 6%, which is the highest that any city or municipality
What
gets.
would the term be on this?
I would start at
What was the other one? 32 years
Yeah.
or 31 years? Because
I
it
thought it was
comes up.
20, isn't it?
So I thought it was the same
You
term.
won't be here for renewal.
That's, I just want to make sure I'm
Yeah.
not here for the next one, that's all.
We will, I can't remember. sorry.
Okay,
I
it's
looked at
30
the
years.
holidays.
Okay.
30
Yeah.
years.
Okay,
It was about the same.
You found it,
And I
Jack?
said, we
Yeah,
sent two or
section
three more
5.
comments
Section
back.
5, 30 years.
Okay.
Right.
Before.
do you have a motion on 7C?
Move to approve.
Have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
7D, consideration of appointment to replace Matthew Woodall of the audit committee.
So,
And unfortunately, Brenda is ill, so I don't even know how that came about. Jack, you may
He's
know.
moved out of town.
Oh, okay.
First moving out of town.
Good reason.
Is she asking for a replacement or just to remove him?
I think just remove
Well, it
it.
says consideration of appointment. To replace, that's what it says.
Oh, do you guys? Carrie's here and Jack's here. I don't know if they have an option of a replacement in mind.
Gary, we got about 6, don't we? 5 or 6 people?
I think it's at least 5.
Yeah, I don't think we need.
I would just leave it until next year's audit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't-
The only thing we're gonna be doing right now is looking at the RFP for the audit company. We don't do another thing for another 6 months.
Then just remove him and
yeah, because the audit, the proposed, they just came in. So do y'all have that scheduled? When's your next meeting? October?
It's in October.
It's the 9th or something, 9th or
Okay.
something like that.
And y'all are gonna be review the proposals to
Yes.
recommend an audit
Yes.
company to go with? Okay.
Yeah, it's October 9th.
All right, so do I have a motion just to remove?
So
Do it
moved.
all?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Regular reports, district manager.
What was his name? Matthew. Um. Nope, I don't have anything. All of the updates are gonna come from Carrie and Russ. I don't really have anything other than you've got your audit RFP coming up. Um. They'll go through the roof, all that stuff.
I had a question.
Okay.
So for the deputy that we have downtown,
Mm-hmm.
I know you told me they get, we charge all the entities quarterly.
Yes. We can change
How-
that, but yeah.
Well, but before we get to that, how do we know a deputy is downtown?
Other than the report.
We don't. There's no one down there verifying that
Okay.
they showed up, they didn't,
Okay, so can we find out if somebody was there?
Mhm. Yep.
The last 2 or 3 weekends?
Yeah, the only thing that we would verify unless, aside from calling Ashley, who's the scheduler,
Right.
and she can tell you if someone picked it up, didn't pick it up, whatever, is she would let us know ahead of time, like, no one's gonna cover your downtown shift, nobody picked it up. Then we would know ahead of time, but other than that, it would be by a detail.
So as taper onto that,
Mhm.
I'd like to know what they're doing. Because if somebody was there a couple weekends ago,
Mhm.
they weren't doing anything. They're hiding out somewhere.
I
So
suspect,
that's my concern.
I suspect what it probably is they're probably strolling around downtown for 15 minutes and then we get.
And then-
Yeah, but don't,
The other
don't,
3.5
But
hours.
that's not where paying.
I understand.
shouldn't we have a
Correct.
detailed report from him?
So we've talked several times with, and Greg's been part of these conversations going back, that we were getting either, some of them don't turn in detail reports. Some of them do, but they're very limited in the detail. We've asked for, give us more detail. Not this sheriff, but the one prior.
Mhm.
What was his name that we were dealing with?
Not Hinderman, Wilkinson.
Wilkinson, he actually got on his people and was like, if you don't get a detailed report, you call me, let me know, I'll take care of it. So he was really good about it. And then we started dealing with, is it Hinderman that left somewhere for a couple of months and then came back?
Yes,
So he was kind of doing it, but then he kind of left.
yes.
And then he came back. So now it's just a matter of, we need to have a conversation with this gentleman and make sure that, the
And I think
reports
Captain
that we're
Travis
asking.
will-
Yeah.
Will
He's
respond. to
been
great
very,
detail.
he's been very responsive with
My
anything.
suggestion would be a few things, I think everybody agrees. Number one is make it clear to them, here's the boundary.
Yeah.
Unless there's like an emergency call, you're staying within the boundary.
Yeah, because we have other details assigned at
For
the,
traffic.
at the
Yeah.
same
Yep.
time as the
Yep.
downtown, so it's totally separate.
I
you
mean, one thing I would like to see, and we can confirm it through the business owners, is assigning them to say, I would like you to step foot in every one of the open businesses in your shift. And just walk through the business, just to stick
What
your
they
head
used to
in.
do.
Yeah,
They used to.
just stick your head in and say hi and whatever else, look, I would like for the businesses, especially since Canoa is a party to this, to see that the deputies are in there as well.
Um, I'll be
But-
here first thing in the morning, and my first thing is to get on a call with Ashley and kind of make sure we're on the same page and all of that.
But I think importantly too, the third thing I put is, I don't expect them to be in the car. I want them out of the car.
Yeah, they should be walking around.
Yes.
That was the intent.
And Captain Wilkinson had actually asked if we wanted bike patrols down there. The problem
Yep.
is they have to do it in pairs. We have to pay for a second one. So
Right.
if we wanted to take if we had a regular detail deputy covering the rest of town, if we wanted to pull them off the road and put them as a pair down on the bikes, I don't think we necessarily need that. I think just a single guy walking around. is
Yeah, as long as they're walking around and their
You can see
presence
them,
is
yeah.
there,
Yeah.
that's the point.
Unless they want to bring one of the mounted guys. on a horse.
I would be.
So.
Okay,
Cool. Anything else?
No, I already.
Okay. I know there's an ongoing conversation on the roof, Angels or anything.
Yeah, so,
Quotes.
again, that's what I was gonna let Russ and them go over, but Arnco, Jan's done her
Mhm.
part with Arnco. We've got five or seven?
Maybe about 5.
5 companies that they reached out to. Obviously, we're given the engineering report. And it's basically asked for 2 quotes. One, to replace the roof as is with dormers, one to replace the roof, no dormers. So you're gonna get 2 quotes from each company. They've just now started coming out physically to look on site and do evaluations. So I think the intent, I don't foresee an issue with us having proposals back by October.
You know, I asked them to be week to 10 days before the next board meeting. Architectural sheet metal was here yesterday.
So they're being responsive.
Yeah, so they are starting to respond now, and we will have those for the October agenda. And what we'll do is we'll do the same way that we've done a landscape we'll do a summary
Right.
for you all, and then put the proposals behind the summary, so you have a quick glance, and then you can look in depth of the proposals.
So terrific. My issue is gonna be, I won't know what I'm looking at with roofing proposals. So Mark, is that something you're gonna be able to substantively help? Part of the big question I have that hasn't been answered is whether or not this is an installation problem or a design problem.
So maybe we do this. Carrie is good friends with Mr. Webb.
Yeah.
So why don't, when we get these proposals in, he's the one who did the engineering report of the roof.
Got it.
Maybe we send the proposals over to him, let him review them and kind of break it down for us.
Recommendations. or
And
whatever.
give us maybe even a snapshot of
Yeah.
this one's
I
good,
think
this one's not, here's what you need, this doesn't work, whatever the case may be.
Two of the companies I worked with that really create Disney, that's why I picked them. My guess is one of them is gonna be substantially more expensive than the
But
rest
we'll
of
have
them.
big ears coming out of the building.
But they always did really good work.
So we'll do that. We'll use Mr. Webb Wright again to
And,
review these.
and if we're expecting proposals to come back next meeting, do we want to go through and do like we did with landscape? I'm looking at you, Tom. And you, Jack, do we want to do like with interviews with landscapers and actually bring folks in, or how do we want to evaluate?
I
A lot more time.
I would narrow it down, maybe based on what Mr. Wright says,
I still want to bring them in.
and then bring those in.
Yeah, you wouldn't bring them all until you kind of have an idea of what.
Yeah,
the
he's
ones
got one
that are
thing.
down
So
there.
are we expecting that from now until the next meeting, they're gonna get quotes in time, he's gonna have time to evaluate them, he's gonna have time to do a down select, and we're gonna have time to notify those people in the down select, and we want to, that's a lot to do.
We'll see how it goes.
Probably,
Yeah.
I don't know.
probably
Right.
after the
Right.
selection. The next meeting and then bring them in.
Expectations.
Yeah.
I would like to get this done before the next rainy season, which I realize is 8 months away, but we have a hurricane coming down on us right now.
It happens before you know it.
It's not
Yeah.
gonna happen by Thursday.
Okay.
One minute.
Anything else for Jack? Anything for-
No.
Field report.
Let me,
Not everybody wants.
wait, let me go back to something on the agenda and stuff like that. You gave me all this data from the.
Did I? I gave it to you?
Yeah,
Well,
it was all that.
All the data, pages and pages of radar data.
Yeah.
Didn't you ask for the radar data?
No, what I asked for is we have a new sign that we have that automatically prints out 2 weeks at a time, summarizes everything instead of 60 pages of this stuff.
Oh,
That's what I asked.
so we have a need, is it one sign or all the?
I think all of them are capable of doing it, but that's what I was looking for. And we got, what, 6 signs, just 6 signs.
That's what he's looking for.
We are in the.
I don't know what it is.
Download 2 weeks of data and it comes out in
It's
half a sheet of
It's not
paper.
as easy as you think, Jack.
It's built into.
Jack, why don't you?
140 miles per hour? Like, is that a joke?
No, understand what I said last time.
For an average. mouse per
Understand what
hour.
I said last time. They're done in kilometers instead of miles per hour on that one
158
sign.
kilometers per hour.
But
Mississippi.
it says miles per hour.
It's not right.
Jack, can you get with staff in between the meeting?
Yeah.
I know this is a thing. Can you take a look with them?
I know,
Figure out what's
but
right.
Russ, that new sign that Russ, that new sign we bought has that built into the sign. You gave us the specs for it. And said that's where I got it from.
Jack, I wasn't the one trying to download it, and I'm not gonna try to download it.
No, I'm just saying we have it built in.
Jack has an action before next meeting to go figure out.
Okay.
We'll sit with Jasmine and we'll get it figured out.
Okay.
It's,
And if somebody's really doing 358 miles an hour, I would like a phone call to see that happen.
oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Driving a Toyota convertible. I know what it is.
All right, so that's what
No,
I mean, it's broken down by sign, I guess. I don't know.
Well, see, that's what it is. I don't know where it's located.
Yeah.
Period
it's hard.
statistic.
It didn't give me nothing.
Yeah, okay, got it.
Oh, one other question on the speed signs. Are we moving those around? We were talking about quarterly.
Should be moving them around quarterly based on board directive.
Well, based on the data, I think is what we said last time, what do we need that? Or complaints or whatever else. Yeah. Why don't you, Jack, in the midst of
I'll get
your
with Russ.
deciphering. why don't we figure out what the
She's
next
like,
one
I'll
is?
get with Russ.
Russ will be
All
happy
right.
to see me.
Now the field manager.
Field manager.
Come on, Russ.
Anybody got any questions?
Oh, I got
Yes,
questions.
yes, I do have questions. I do have questions. I might as well start this one because it's gonna have to do with the reserve area. Okay, so I think ladies' comments are coming about because there's the inconsistencies, and I hate inconsistencies, they all are done, and you've got to figure that out. You know, there's a couple reports, one of them on Banks Rose that I texted you about. We went out and said, oh, we're gonna spring one tree and everything's good, right? No, they went in and,
The homeowner was supposed to cut that one.
well, they brought it,
This is where I'm thinking.
they brought in another company and they went in and started taking the thing. So my problem is that there's what the lady had said is very accurate, because she said, I don't want to go any more into the preserve area, because it's not my property, right? It's a very, very valid point, okay? She probably has 2 or 3 feet, because you can't build a fence on the property line, right, to go ahead and trim that, okay. But the reality is, all these other people are going into the preserve area, and they're not trimming 1 or 2 trees, they're clearing things, they're making roads and paths and everything else.
Where's this happening?
Well, there's 2 houses that I know of, but one is in Banks Rose, the other one is on the other side of Banks Rose. Where
In the past, we've done some nasty letters to people.
well, yeah, so that's what I wanna do.
Yeah.
I wanna go ahead and prevent people from going ahead and all of a sudden making everything wrong.
How?
Huh?
How?
Well, once they do it, they said, okay, well, you cut down this tree, okay, so these are.
I mean, it's happened. in
Put a dollar
Global,
amount and
it's
say,
happened in a few places.
there needs to be repercussions, because then people can do whatever they want, right? And we like to preserve areas, we don't want, and then people all of a sudden will make little patios and everything else.
But this is no different than what we did
Yeah,
at
we
the
have.
past meeting with the company that was coming in the construction stuff, where
Mhm.
they're not deep in the preserve area, but they're in the preserve area.
I'll send the 2 addresses. I have-
Yeah,
I'll send the
we've got a letter we can pull up that.
Yeah.
says-
We just need to prevent that, but the other thing is that I think we need a clear policy. And we might already have it, or maybe we need to print that somewhere.
Mhm.
But we need to have a policy of what people, you know, what we're gonna do and what we're not gonna do on the preserve area. Apparently,
We shouldn't be, again, I think this is the only area I think is hurt that I'm aware of that we don't
I'm gonna walk
maintain.
that With United tomorrow, we're not
Yeah,
Well,
supposed to be mowing behind any of those houses.
no,
Well,
We get it
because
to homeowners.
completely
we
separately
know
from
that.
Tapestry, we had the separate issue or the separate email that I forwarded over a couple days ago on Spring Park Loop, where I wasn't aware that we were mowing behind anybody's houses.
We've got a
And
lot.
even on that one, the answer was, this is the only place we do it, and now we got a second person.
No, that's
this week
not the
saying-
only place we do.
Well, I know that, but that was the answer I initially got 3 days ago,
Not with her, but there's a bunch of other, like Banks Roads,
right?
we go all the way around, almost out to the church.
But how are we?
There's a swale back there, we've got irrigation main line, and we mow 1 or 2 passes.
And I understand, and I'm trying to in my mind split out where we are and where we are. I understand there are places, I know
We go by.
I know in
our
Spring
man.
Park Loop, I know in Spring Park Loop and other places, there are ponds that are behind a house. That to me is understand, that's an entire pond.
And it has to be.
But we
Same thing with the
also
one
mow
that the
behind,
horse.
You probably don't know where the lift stations at, at Spring Park Loop. We mow behind all the houses, all the way up almost to Waterside.
So that's what I'm trying to understand is where, what's for the, I'm sorry, ma'am, we keep saying the lady. What was your name again?
Jill, and I'm trying to keep on.
That's okay. That's okay. to Jill's point, there's no consistency, and I'm trying to figure out in my mind, where's the determination where we're doing and where we're not.
But
can
there's,
show you
it's
on the
not
prints.
all gonna be consistent.
Yeah, it's not all
It's
exact
just,
same.
it's not.
It's not, see, okay.
It's like a littoral shell.
Yeah.
Here's the problem. Here's the problem.
Not consistent.
From the beginning, Disney gave us parcels, pieces, parcels, wherever it's set up with.
Right.
Well, we've encountered this for where sidewalks are, or this is, whatever, like, this doesn't make any sense. This is how it was designed, right?
Yep.
The argument to say it's inconsistent, it doesn't make any sense, yeah, we got it, day one. Day one, when celebration is created, there's inconsistency all over the place. And slowly, you know, CCD and Pro, have been trying to go ahead and clean up some of that. But there's just so
David's
much.
been managed by somebody comes in and complains, and we go ahead and do their thing too, but we don't do it. We don't set a policy that.
But that's what I'm saying, I
It's
think,
not as preserved, which is very different from a swale where you have. I mean,
Correct.
there are different types of.
And those are things that make sense to me, is why you would do a swale, but not necessarily conserve area or however we want to split those apart. That's my
well,
question, is how do we
and-
start defining this?
and like this property, where we maintain this whole section, and then we wouldn't maintain this one, and then we continue on. That has to get cleared up,
Yeah.
right, cause it just, that's inconsistent.
But we need to find out if we're actually putting it or somebody's else's home.
Right,
Yeah.
you know, so, and then on top of that. The areas that we are supposed to do, and then we need, how do we make sure that it's actually happening? Right, that's the other thing, how do we know that the landscape company is actually doing all that? So there's a lot of pieces here, there's a lot of pieces, this is not gonna get fixed overnight, but this is something where. You know, we have the policy for the trees in front of the house, we need to do something about the preserve areas.
Yeah.
We need to look at the map too, because that's what your vendor is gonna go by.
It's
They're gonna
gonna
go
by
by
the
that
property
maintenance map. And I can tell you, the maintenance map for her specific house shows that we do not maintain behind it, but we do maintain
Not,
the two areas beside it. So I don't know where the map came from, how many years ago.
I
I
can
have
show you
no,
that map right there.
Yeah.
yeah,
have
We
no
should
idea.
look at The plat to see if there's a difference.
So that's where we're at the question.
Correct.
I know you keep saying why not, but we're trying to figure
Yeah.
that out.
Trying to figure out if they're different parcels or what.
Correct. And there could be a reason. Maybe it's
So,
by
that-
design. I don't know.
So these are things we need to find, we need to know.
Yeah.
We need to know. I do know that way back when, there were certain pieces in South Village. Disney's like, well, we were thinking of doing this one day, we decided not to, so they left the plot the way it was, and you're like. It doesn't make any sense, but there it is, it's laid out, county approved, and it ain't changing.
Well, and listen, the tree thing, for 6 months, we had some ruffled feathers in town, but for the most part, people have figured out, okay, here's what CDD does and does nothing with trees. We need to get to the same point with this.
Mhm.
So,
We need clarity for everyone, and because otherwise people are guessing.
Yeah.
And then with guessing comes confusion for everybody, and then staff is wasting their time for stuff,
so the action number one is, we've got it from the map of what is and is not being done by the landscaper, so I get that. Is it you guys, is it you with them, kind of?
I'll work with them on that.
I would just like to hear something consistent that's
We need to have,
defendable as to what makes sense.
correct. And we're gonna be bound by who owns the property and whatnot, we can't change that.
Nope.
So we'll have to go ahead and take a look at that. I don't have any faith in going back to Disney and trying to find the history of things, because we can't even get the legal letter out.
I don't know that it matters, I mean,
No, it doesn't, but everyone's gonna wanna know what happened with this, that, I'm like, I don't know, it is what it is.
we'll spend more time trying to backtrack the history.
If we can find out,
Exactly.
we definitely gonna find out. So we'll work on it.
What else you got?
So when we had talked about benches. I wanted to go ahead and discuss for the board to pay for a plaque. On one of the benches for Gary Moore. I know that. They probably could raise it, but listen, he's been.
I'll make a motion
for a
right
long
now.
time.
I got notice.
So I would like.
When do we adopt the rule first?
What's that?
When do we adopt the rule first before we?
November 19th.
Yeah.
I think I can let this one slide. We
Yeah,
were going
we can
to,
do it. Just do it.
I think it's $150. Debbie came in today with the wording. I haven't looked at it yet. We're gonna just ask him tomorrow, go ahead and get it done. We're gonna do it on one of the benches under the shade structure.
I mean, listen, I don't,
And I
know.
think for Gary,
I'll throw in $50.
I'll do that too.
I'll do
It's
it.
also,
Yeah.
okay, we'll all throw 50
We'll all
bucks
throw
in,
50 bucks, three of
and
us
then
together.
we'll take care of it.
So the bench already exists, it's
Okay,
just the
so
Yeah,
plaque.
it's an, we're
Okay.
not putting up benches, it's a
So
bench.
you said who approved this? Greg?
Well, it's,
Oh,
I
no,
think
no,
it's
we
like,
approved
yeah,
it.
it's not a CDD.
We're all giving 50
Oh,
bucks.
never mind.
Take care of it.
Got
So
it.
it only
But they
goes-
can't accept our money until the 19th.
Yeah, effective the 19th,
Fine.
but you can do it ahead of time and.
Or
ratify it.
we'll write the money to
Just
the
ratify.
CDD. and
We'll handle
there
it.
is.
We can make interest off it in the meantime.
Oh, jeez.
What else have you got, sir?
That's it. Okay.
Jack, anything for Field?
No, Russ, it astounded me when I found out that we had 5 poles knocked over.
2 here at the fire station.
Yeah,
The same night, we had one at Celebration Place and Celebration Avenue. Then the following weekend, we had one in Island Village, which, if you knew what that guy did,
but I heard from one of the guys
I
that
don't know if you've all ever been down there, but before you get to the first stop sign, he went straight, went through all the landscape, took out 3 trees, went up the berm, over, took out the huge magnolia tree, went across the road, and then took out the light pole.
in each
And then they came and got into your neighborhood.
in each of these instances, though, I would like to have known about the damage to the CDD property. Just to be aware of it, not done any formal report, but the other thing is, you know the names of all the individuals, I hope, so we can go back and sue them. No, no clue.
That's why we need the.
So that one,
We need the police record. Once we have that.
We got the one from Pete for North Village.
yeah, but what about the one that was it Island Village? Where,
We knew about it, I don't- like I said, Jasmine's due diligently trying to get all the information she can so we can.
Get the report so they can
okay,
protect it. I think that is a good comment though from Jack. I mean, anytime there's damage to district property, just email from staff, just saying, hey, something's been damaged. You can just flash something out whenever that happens. And just let us know if there's a police report. What's going on? Jack, what else you got?
no, that's it.
I'm not done yet.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, Duke Energy's coming out and putting in what they call wipers, which is another big transformer, and somehow I guess they can sit at the office, drink coffee, hit a switch and redirect the power. And they're tearing up quite a few areas, but they have said they were gonna replace everything.
They are gonna replace
They're
everything.
usually, they're good for.
They tore up a lot of sidewalk.
I
About
We should
3
put
days
that, we should
later,
put that grass down too.
Yeah, let us know if you have problems, because we have another reason.
All right, here's one more thing, Russ. Driving down Celebration Avenue in Main Village, trees are really low hanging.
that's part of, we've done, I don't know how many in North Village we've got.
I'm talking about
And-
Main Village, though.
Main Village, we've got Penn, Starling.
And they're
It's a
they're
lot,
not great, but
lot.
when they get wet, they're hitting cars.
They are
That's how
hitting
low-
cars right now.
And you and broom.
I haven't done.
All right, couple small things I had. Number one, Isle Village, those 2 big planters where we took out
Yes.
the one tree that was gone and the one tree that had 7 ratchet straps. Now there are 2 more trees in there. We did not, I don't remember us saying we wanted to, was that Mattamy that did that or us that did that?
I think it was us in Miami.
I recall saying, let's put it in the, I don't
Those are crepe myrtles.
want any
It'll
trees.
probably take 15 years for them to get another third the size that they are.
I mean, just, personally, I just don't think they look that good. I mean, now you got tiny little trees in this gigantic plant. I thought maybe I was overruled. I wanted to turn those into flower beds.
Have those been turned over to us or are they still
Oh, yeah.
under Mattamy?
No, they turned over to
Or the stormwater tract.
What now?
Or the stormwater tracts.
Oh, really?
The good thing is Miami's paying for half of all that. But I guess it's half that you don't like.
I just,
No, I'm just, I can,
and again, if the rest of the board feels we wanted to stay with trees, that's,
I thought we were either gonna do flowers or palm trees because the roots went straight down. Cause even crepe myrtles go that way, right? I have them in my backyard. But I didn't think we were gonna release any trees, cause their planters were all that cement was, so
And just a crepe myrtle to me is gonna look lost in that thing, even if it fully grows out. It's,
Well, there's crepe myrtles on the side of them.
well, on the side, yeah, but not in the planter is my point. It's not like it's a pencil sitting inside a gigantic thing.
What do you want to do?
I want to do flowers.
So you want to remove the crepe myrtle? Can we plant them somewhere else?
It should be able to transplant.
Okay, no, transplant them and put them somewhere else.
What do you think?
That's my vote. What do you guys think?
Come on,
Hey,
Jack.
look,
Come on, Jack. You're on the spot.
I haven't even gone down there, so I don't know.
That's not North Village.
No, it's Island Road. yeah.
I'm sorry, did I say that out loud?
There's no golf course down there.
Of course, important. I'm sorry, you're the garden club?
I'm part of the garden club, and I say yes, I think his idea is a good one.
All right, I'll vote for that.
There you go.
Okay, there we go.
All right, so flowers. Get united, get those trees out.
So.
Find a place for the two
then
crepe
we're gonna
myrtles.
reimburse Mattamy for the $1,000 tree that they just paid to plant.
Why?
Why?
Because we're removing it.
It doesn't matter. They still paid for the tree.
They paid for us to put the tree in there. Why would I pay them back? That was their dead tree to begin with. It was supposed to be in there.
Why are they paying for no tree?
They're not.
We're
They're
gonna-
gonna go
we're
somewhere
gonna-
else.
But we're gonna remove the tree and put it somewhere else. We're going to plant it.
We
Yeah.
told them what we were gonna do.
Yeah, that's fine. They're fine.
When they
don't-
fix
we don't
the
need
bridge,
to
they can come
reimburse.
back and say where they.
Well, that's,
That's his next on his list.
yeah,
Let's talk about.
Good, that was next on
Let's
my
talk about the
list.
bridge.
I do wanna hear about this.
so.
Crepe myrtles are gonna be nuts.
So he's gotta put his glasses on.
Uh-oh.
This is
Serious.
tough.
First two lights working, the other 8 are strobing. That's when everything's wired together and breakers are on. Have dead short, which trips breaker number 26 and number 24. If turned off, breaker number 26 is powering all 10 lights, but 8 of them strobe. Those 10 lights, it should only be powering 5. You got 2 110 circuits. You've got 220. This should be powering light 1, light 3, light 5, light 7, and the other one's 2, 4. One breaker lighting them all up, shorted out, and they're strobing.
So it looks like the electrician who put it in was wrong.
So.
Can I go back to a year ago and say I told you so?
We don't even want nothing to do with it.
Yeah, Mattamy needs to own this.
This is today.
Okay, so I need to break the attorney and say we're giving up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mattamy needs to own this debacle.
Well, I didn't even know we had any piece of it. I thought we turned it over to them and said, go fix and tell us what you're doing.
They fixed the one column.
Yeah.
We knew it
Well,
was bad.
They didn't fix it. Did you see how
Well,
it's
it's
put
almost
together?
fixed. Looks like.
It was put together by,
Okay, so
Have you
Jan,
been down
there's a
there? No?
Committee.
Yeah, no, time to jump in and tell our attorney,
Okay.
okay, well,
Yeah.
we're done, we need this fixed, and this is what happened.
well, and fix, but I want to make sure
That
between
we
Mark
fix it
and
with-
Russ that there's
That we-
understanding of what fixed
We get
is.
drawings and we know what they're doing.
Yes,
It's all
the-
efficient.
so here's the thing too about it's not just the electrical piece. Because if they go in and do what they did on the first one and they go ahead and fix everything, the rock work looks like crap.
When's the last time you've been down there?
2 days ago, I didn't pay attention to it.
Look at it, because they redid it.
They redid it. Okay.
Well, good.
I just,
Okay,
The
okay,
first two
It's-
times
it's-
look really
it's
bad.
fixed.
They're gonna get to redo it again.
Correct.
It's awesome.
That's the whole thing.
all right.
Three
I
times the
figured
time
this
was
was
it.
coming, I didn't expect a big change.
And yes, you can say I told you.
Okay, good. It's the one time I get to say that.
Yeah, that was it.
Areas behind fences we talked about. The other thing in Isle Village, I thought we had, and help me out here. I thought we had in our budget when we did the chairs and tables that we had budgeted to put some in the Isle Village, kind of that promenade lake area.
We talked about it, but we did not pull the trigger. We said that would be later date.
I would like today to be a later date.
Okay. What would you like in there?
I would like 8 or 10.
What we have
chairs.
down there?
I don't know if there's room to put in tables, just because the steps get kind of shallow.
You know what? Here's the thing.
And we also talked about not having anybody down there to like monitor it and they end up in the water. So all that was part of that conversation.
They don't have anybody to monitor it downtown either.
We actually have people downtown all the time, don't we? Staff?
Not
Not
8
to-
hours a day.
Not just
No,
watching chairs.
Not to specifically watch chairs, but we have people
I've
down
got
there
people
more
in
than.
Island Village 7 days a week.
Oh, well, then there you go. Problem solved.
So here's the thing. As much as I like the tables and chairs in the downtown area, I also hate them. Because people take the rocking chairs and yank it up the stairs and put it right next to, so they're moving the rock, and that eventually will break down the rocking chairs. You wanna put rocking chairs in, just rocking chairs, or just tables and chairs, but not both.
I would just say rocking. I don't think we've got room for tables, just with the way this.
I agree. But with the stores and restaurants, you know, people just wanna sit down and look at, there's no place to sit down, so how many,
You sure you want 8? Is
I was gonna say,
six.
let's try 6 rocking chairs and
See what it looks like. What were they about? They were less than 1,000 piece, weren't they, those rocking chairs?
Russ has the.
Okay.
So Russ
Yeah,
can tell
he
us.
has all of that.
Okay, we just go to the same vendor.
So you want 6 rocking chairs?
6
We want the same as what we got down here already, right? And
Yes,
the
please.
the white ones, we got some of the rock and some.
Well,
of
the same as what we've got out downtown.
They're not the
Teak.
same as what we got now. They're not teak.
What are they?
If you want teak, we'll put them down there, but there are chairs and there are rockers and fixed chairs, got Adirondacks.
Are those?
Oh, they're
from-
Adirondacks?
Kinda, yeah, but they're made out of like a composite.
Yeah, it's that hard.
There's some down.
You know where the shade structure is in Island Village? There's 2 shade structures.
Yes,
There's some there, and then if you go all the way to the other Esplanade next to the pool, there's some down there.
Well, you know which one I'm talking about, right across from where the new coffee shop is at,
Okay.
where my 2 lovely trees are at.
Yeah,
Right around there.
right there, that big area. The
6 rocking chairs.
6 rocking chairs.
So you want teak?
yeah, I think just.
What I had thought was kind of what.
Just the ones we have downtown.
Boy, what's down there right now? We
It's
have
that white-
ones.
White
Yeah.
hard composite.
Why shouldn't we have the same?
That's what he's asking.
We should have the same to match.
Well, but there's nothing else down in that immediate area, is what I think. I didn't see anything when I was down there the other morning.
There's 2 shade structures right there. Mark, how far is it? Where the 2 big.
I'm
Oh, you're tall enough, you could have seen it.
I'm fine with the white ones over here. You want white? Go for white. Go for it.
Down the steps.
I wanna take a look.
Less.
I'm gonna drive down to Island Village anyways.
Okay.
So-
Yeah, do that, get back with me. and we'll
Yeah,
figure
I'll-
out
I'll-
what's white or teak.
So regardless, you want 6 white or teak rocking chairs once Tom looks at it. Is that good?
Tom's aesthetic vote.
I am,
That's all I
You
have
don't
in the
want
field.
colors.
it'll be the same cost, that's the thing, it doesn't matter. That was the word.
What else did you have there, Mr. Rose?
Started the sidewalk project up in North Village. Moving along good on that.
It's going fantastic.
Is it?
So
Getting a lot of stuff painted.
well, let's go back to the sidewalk. This is the big, okay. Can we get some regular updates on that? Just on, if we're just starting it, I got it.
Harry was
They
gonna give you
just-
an update.
Yeah.
in a few minutes.
Yeah, they just started on the 16th, but he has a full update for you and he'll have them every
Cool.
meeting.
How frequently do you want
What's that?
to? How frequent?
No, just at the meetings, just to knowing that this is kind of the big thing for the year. I'd like to understand how this is working, if it's not working, or suggestions, whatever else is we're looking towards next year.
Need a little documentation from you. So
Bring whatever you want.
yeah, you signed the one that I needed to sign, so.
Okay.
So the district is not paying taxes. There's quite a lot of documentation. You have to enter in a contract with you. There has to be a signed purchase
With
order.
me?
The,
Oh,
From you guys.
From you guys, so we don't have to
Selling
pay
your house, joining
taxes.
the army.
yeah, so I've created some of that. I just need some board signatures on it. Forward.
I'm here.
We started last week, we knocked 25 panels out in 4 days, I think.
Okay.
We're ready to pour again. We pulled off because of the hurricane. So we were trying to get concrete for tomorrow, but it's too short a notice.
That was my last question, was gonna be just hurricane prep. Are you guys on track for whatever
Yeah,
we think we're gonna get?
yeah. I just pulled it up and looked again and there are
We're
2
gonna-
or 3 inches of rain and a little
Yeah.
bit of wind.
Harry, what's our time frame for doing the North Village project?
Well, there's almost 600 panels in the quote and we're doing 25 a week probably.
So next
25
week,
week, okay.
next week, we're done.
We're talking
They're actually
6 months.
moving faster. We kind of had to slow them down a little bit.
But you're in an area that's not residential, really, it's.
And that's why, like, today they want to start opening up panels on the other side of the street, I'm like, you can't, so we get, for ADA purposes, I need a pathway. on one side.
Yeah.
We went this afternoon and started picking different locations. And Russ has them cutting panels in advance. So when we're ready to go, we're just popping the panel in frame. It's going much faster than kind of the initial project.
It's going good.
Which I think was pretty good.
Yeah.
Also.
I'm trying to see Russ driving the dump truck, yeah, concrete truck.
Yeah.
All right, any other field stuff? Give Russ long enough. He'll think
So
about it.
related, they're gonna start paving Monday in phase 2A, and they should be done by the Friday after next.
Painting.
Paving.
Oh, paving.
Paving.
Got it. Okay.
Things are moving along down there.
Oh, you said painting also.
Paving.
No, I know.
Oh, painting,
You
yeah.
did say
Yeah,
painting.
they're painting hydrants right now.
Painting a lot.
Okay.
Fire hydrants.
So you're still in Northville.
Signs, all that. I think he's gonna be out of there tomorrow.
Oh, that's good. That's really
With the
good.
exception of the lights. We're gonna do all the poles and stuff for everything that needs painted,
The lights are gonna take a
and
while.
then come back and start doing lights.
Does that include the street signs? The street signs have to be done too. They all have to be done.
I don't know.
We'll talk about it.
Talk about the little.
Celebration Avenue, Stickley.
A lot of those need to be redone.
I do know that.
I thought I had.
There's some that are falling apart. That's what I'm saying. We can paint them great. If some need to be replaced, we're gonna have to look at that. Because they serve no, I mean, you can't even read the sign anymore.
Have sent some stuff yesterday. On the graphics.
Okay.
Hey, Mark, guess what? You know what I heard when I walked in this room tonight? That map's wrong. I cannot believe it.
And I actually had her going too.
You did.
Remember that one little sliver
Oh, I was
that's
so
across
upset.
from the school? Remember you and I had to call the county? They hadn't, the walkways that cut across
Yeah.
from the campus street apartments and how they both got turned over to us. It's still showing as TCC property. We have to get a new map.
What about a purple marker?
I suggested that no one listens.
It's so small they can't even tell.
Just put a purple marker on it.
Regular reports, legal counsel.
We'll have a Duke easement, that high school, the property next to the high school where Duke's been sort of screwing around for a new easement for probably, I think we should have that next month. That's the one where their easement kind of, where the high school was built and there was an easement and it's no longer there because the pond is so big. So they needed a second access to get to the road. So that we should have that by next month. They just lost.
What's the implication of that? I mean, do we get
Nothing.
paid for that or
No.
it's just redrawn? Okay.
No, just so they can get to the power lines.
Okay.
And then the potentially disappointing update is FDOT is now relooking at the parcels they've designated, and they may have come up with a way to not need any parcels. And we'll know more in mid-October.
Too bad. Come on, $1 million.
That was kind of what I said. They will reimburse any legal fees and engineering.
It's time to raise your fees.
I was gonna say, they'll work really hard the next couple of weeks. So anyway, I'll keep you posted, but they apparently have come up with some other plan.
Okay.
The project manager who came and asked for signing up,
Mhm.
he just asked for the form, did it. And he told me that whole project's getting rebudgeted.
Yeah, apparently by the time they started doing everything, so now they may end up using some land in between I-4 for storage, but then they would have to come back when the bright line actually gets built through there. So it could be, it's just a postponement for.
I'm sorry. So is this, they still need it? It's just being pushed or
We
they're
don't,
just?
we don't know for sure.
We don't know.
We'll know
Okay.
more or not.
They don't know.
Okay. Got it.
That's disappointing.
Somebody called Dave and tell him.
They're spending the money.
What else for legal
That's it
counsel?
for me.
Any questions for Jan? Engineer.
You just have a monthly report in the back of the agenda. Really the big item is, Kenny did approve our right-of-way permit crosswalk downtown. So,
Thank you, Google Maps.
yep,
Save us a ton of money.
so I don't know how you guys do that or
If we would do what? I'm sorry.
the crosswalk down at campus in front.
And Russ and I looked at it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we can do that on the other side.
So if I remember right, the conversation a couple months ago was that was like half the cost was just getting mapping and permitting and all that, and the rest of it, like in the $10,000 to $15,000.
Well, we ended up not doing a survey.
Okay.
And the plan that we did was very basic, it was just kind of showing it on air.
Okay, and that was
I
sufficient.
think we had traced over the line with the streets to have some sort of line work there.
Okay.
No elevations, no dimensions.
Okay.
And the county doing the crosswalk, I think they want to add. Whatever.
So we
That's
would,
not, that's not there.
we would do the concrete work up to the curb and then they would do the crosswalk painting.
They mentioned it, but we have to, we might have to reach out to them. They have to do the crosswalks. The main crosswalk where the school is, campus stuff, it's all worn out, so maybe they can do that.
Yeah, I think Russ had a conversation with someone about, did the county say that they would paint crosswalk campus or would we just do it all?
I remember you telling me they would paint it.
I did say.
Yes, that's what I remember you telling me. But we can talk about that. It's not.
If I said that, then they must have said it.
There you
Okay,
go.
Mark, is there a curb
I'm not gonna
cut?
just make.
Russ said. Gonna go.
Yeah, you gotta pull out.
That's what we're talking about, and that's why I wanna make sure, you guys doing all the concrete work, doing the curb cut and then the extension of the sidewalk and all that, that's easy enough. Okay. Cool. Anything else from Mark?
Yes, the handrails, the guardrails in
Yes,
the different parts of the community that you all discussed. Is this a compliance thing or a business decision? I think that's the question of the board. Is it
Okay.
something that is out of compliance, safety hazard issue? Or is this just something you might want to consider putting up? I think that's the question.
well, it's 2 feet was what I saw was the magic number.
Yeah, we're talking the sidewalks down at the box culverts by the school.
Yep.
Yeah, we had looked at the DOT, just drop off hazards, you know, obviously they were kind of designed that way, there might have been some erosion that's occurred over the years that have dropped the elevation a little bit. But, or I can remember, always been like that. So.
I mean, if the magic distance is 2 feet from the edge of the sidewalk to the beginning of the drop off is the way I read that. Do we just need to measure that to see if it's 2 feet from
And
the?
that's what I did, and you know, I don't know if my paint's still out there, but I went out there with the level. Came 2 feet off the sidewalk, measured down, anywhere it was more than 10 inches drop, then that 2 feet, it was part of that overall length of.
Okay, so you did determine it was out of.
Yep.
So all of them are out of compliance, all the areas?
Well, we looked at those 2 crossings on Greenbrier and Celebration Alley.
And on Greenbrier, was it on both sides? Was it on the school side and across the street where Jasmine is?
I think I only needed it on one side.
Okay. Because there's fencing on the other side as well, but again, it breaks right where our easement, where our wood line hits. I don't know if the wood line needs to be on that side, so it's just the school side. Okay. All right, so we need,
Now you need to tell staff
we
what
wanna do.
material you want there.
and the last conversation we had, not last meeting, but the meeting before, was you guys were going back to see if there were any other alternatives other than the $100,000 solution.
Well, that was to match what was there.
Right.
On
We're
both
at-
sides.
We could get the cheap, you know, maybe I shouldn't use the word cheap, but we could get the little aluminum fencing like you got around pool enclosures and stuff. Get it painted green or fabricated green. I mean, they're talking probably what, $40 a section or
I would
something?
have to see pictures.
Yeah, but
I would have to go ahead and see maybe 2 or 3 different, and then we can say.
You put this
okay.
in front of town hall so we can find if there's.
Oh, I absolutely, absolutely. So I just, if we replace it to something that is similar, but we'd have to replace the whole thing. You can't just, you see what I'm saying?
well, the closest
So-
thing to town hall is green metal chain link fence for the school.
No.
I'm just saying.
I'm just saying, we're not gonna do
I'm
that.
just saying.
I'm also just saying we're not gonna do that.
Angel's just gonna snap away through that one.
That's right.
This is our dinner, breakfast.
Yes.
What town hall?
Yeah, there you go.
Now you're just being
Now you're
snippy.
just-
Oh,
you're just-
I have reason to be snippy.
I know you do.
We've always got. If you can send pictures, I agree with Jack, or Tom, I'm sorry, I would like.
Don't agree with Jack.
I'll be snippy too.
Okay.
I would like to see pictures, and I agree that I think it would probably be hey, just a wholesale replacement of what's there, just so there's one straight fence. If you keep what's there and then put something else on the side, it's just gonna look weird.
Kind of like on Greenbrier where the school's at.
Well, that's broken up now. Let me if everybody's okay, let me have a conversation with the school and see if they will just extend that greenbrier fence out, since that's.
Sure, they're gonna do that.
They just did it in Isle Village, and they didn't have.
Well, we allowed them to put it on our property.
Yeah, it's on our property, and they just wholesale replaced the Isle Village one because of the design piece, and they spent a good
Oh,
money
really?
in that. So let me,
So they'll just remove it off our property,
No, anything
No,
that costs
they
money,
can't
they're
do
not do that,
they have to keep that on there for security reasons.
our property.
which is actually insecure because the fence doesn't complete the fence line. So, just saying, they're actually against.
That may actually be a good reason to.
Well, I'm serious, that it's against
So am I.
Florida, it's against Florida law, because the fence does not go to the next fence, there's an opening. So you can walk into the school.
If everybody's okay, I will have a conversation.
We
We
can do that.
can raise that to them and see if that's something that way at least takes the Greenbrier one off of our plate. Then we just need to address the Celebration
Alright.
Avenue side.
Awesome.
Cool.
Send you pictures of.
We're good?
Whatever recommendations you have.
Any recommendations you have, 3 or 4 pictures.
All right.
Okay.
Hopefully they're all different.
Anything else for engineer? No?
Angel, just a quick question. Where do we stand on the sound system and
We just got the contracts back signed from Complete IT.
I need to sign them.
I need Greg to sign them and then provide their 50% deposit, and then they're coming to do the work. They already have everything ordered,
Is that both the sound system as well as the camera rack?
everything all at once. Our IT people came in a month ago, maybe? About a month ago?
I don't think so.
It hasn't been, just under.
Yeah.
And they put a new router in this building because the internet is terrible. And they dropped some cords for Complete IT because they kind of connected together and said, hey, we need this, this, and this to be able to do this.
So there's a new Wi-Fi password, right? Yes.
Yes, it's like it's not-
Yeah. Oh, that's why I couldn't get
Oh,
in.
jeez.
Jeez. I was sitting at my desk because he was asking me to print something. I'm like, oh, I can't even get into the Wi-Fi. What is going on?
All right,
So yeah, that's ready to go.
master planning updates or liaison reports.
That's planning.
No master planning update. We're still where we are.
Okay, well, we also had the last conversation we had with Pro was we were trying to get a meeting with their board. Are we still trying to do that? I don't recall.
We're waiting on them. We're waiting on them right now.
Did I put you on that last? I think I put you on that last email with Lauren.
Yes.
And she said she was gonna ask her board for an October date, is what she had stated. So they're looking for October to have a joint meeting. I do know that.
Okay.
So I'll reach out to her again and ask if they've,
October's in 5 days.
yeah, if they've come up with an October, a few dates that I can relay to you
Well,
all.
we'll know on Thursday, because tomorrow they have a meeting.
Oh, there you go.
I'll probably be at their meeting tomorrow, so.
Oh, that'll be super fun.
yeah, Very well.
Yeah.
All right, liaison reports, Tom, anything? No. Jeff? I got nothing. We do need to send out the current contract for you guys, just so everybody has a chance to review it, if you can do that in advance of the next meeting. I don't know, we have a workshop in advance of the meeting. We decided we were gonna do like a 5 to 6 p.m. workshop. And then a 6 p.m. meeting, so if you can just send the.
So October, there's a 5 p.m. workshop.
Did we agree on that? Or
Yes.
October?
Yeah,
Yeah. if you could just
workshop. and
Send
then
out the
6
current
p.m.
contract and statement of work and all that stuff, so everybody has a chance to look at comments and questions.
Current contract. Okay, I will get that sent out first thing in the morning. I'll send it out to everyone.
Public
Can we have
comment.
a word version of that, because they'd be able to redline it.
Come on up.
I think I only have the PDF.
I'll look.
Okay, I'll try and send the Word doc so you guys can
We can
track
actually edit it,
changes and
track it.
edit. Because all I have is a PDF, but I think Jan has the original Word doc. Okay,
Yes.
Well, just for me, it was making different observations. One of the things about the consistency, I think it would be a really good idea if the CCDD actually makes a boundary of where they're responsible around the perimeter of Celebration, because then you wouldn't have trouble with people taking into their own matters in hand and trespassing and doing these different roads and these different things. If they know that CCDD is actually maintaining the boundary all the way around, that they can't trespass that maybe you wouldn't have the problems of them making roads in the different, and whatever.
Well, there already is a boundary.
yeah, there's already boundaries made.
But
Some of
you
them we can't
actually
But some of
see.
them are.
Some of you can't,
There's some of them we can't
vast majority of
maintain.
the houses you can't get back to.
Yeah,
Okay, but I understand, but I was just saying that I think that the consistency that hopefully that'll be a visible sign that, you know, that sees, you know, you guys are present and then you guys are not supposed to be past this or whatever.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I think we need to be very clear because there's too much confusion.
Right.
Too much confusion on the resident side and confusion on our side. So we need to clear this stuff so it's very clear and then people know what they can and can't.
Right.
So I agree with that.
The other thing is I actually talked with the officer about the bike issue. And I actually asked, I said, did they ever have an officer that goes and does like, we used to have assemblies where kids would meet in the auditorium and they have like a lecture. Was it one of the police officers actually go there and kind of review what the safety standards are and what the rules are?
They've got school resource officers, and I was in a SAC
Right.
meeting,
And
I was at a SAC meeting last month, and the principal's talking about asking his SRO to do that.
right, and then the other is in the actual Celebration magazine, that usually there's a blurb in there from the sheriff. That he could do another article that, you know, to state to the residents, and the parents might see this, that this is a problem. So I suggested that to the officer.
I mean, I think that's a great idea. It'd be great if the sheriff. did that.
Right.
We
Also added the money.
we specifically requested the sheriff's office to give some like guidance and put something that's digestible.
Right.
We asked for a year,
Yeah.
and we couldn't get their attorney to even come up with digestible language. All they kept throwing at us was Florida statute and saying everybody can go read Florida statute. That's
Problem with
what-
this Florida statute, it's,
Yeah, Orange County has a pretty good
the
write-up.
problem with this Florida statutes is
It's
conflicts
confusing.
with itself. It's in 3 places.
What is the guy in the Celebration magazine? They're usually at the Osceola County.
Yeah, but we could also do the money matters and the Friday Flash.
Right.
Because everybody gets that too.
Right.
The other is about the stuff that was going on. How about people who have Ring doorbells and all the surveillance stuff that they might have seen, the damage that was done? Some of the residents might be able to come forward and help with.
Unfortunately, for the light poles, there's no.
Well, the stuff that happened in Celebration, where you talk about the trees and the.
Yeah, but it's before the school.
So there's no houses there. And then the other, this is just a sign, because when you mentioned crosswalks, right there at campus where the foundation of park, Founders Park.
Yeah.
Is as you're on campus coming towards Celebration Avenue. Town, can they please paint the curb yellow all the way up, because people are
Oh, I
in
know that.
the right turn lane. And
We,
they have a sign there, but nobody sees the sign, but if they see a yellow curb or a red curb, then they know that they shouldn't park there.
and I hate to say we asked the county for that, and I actually
Oh,
involved.
I don't know if it's the county.
Yeah, no, it was the county and the school district, because it's really the school traffic. I asked them both to look, and I know exactly what you're talking about, and that was one of the hotspots. And they said they weren't gonna. That was our county commissioner. And again, we can re-engage that, but
Well,
That-
it's
that-
suggested because.
yeah.
Oh, it is
it's absolutely a problem.
I can't believe people don't park into the intersection at that point.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Yep.
thank you for your time.
No, thank you for paying attention. I
Yeah.
Thank
appreciate
you.
that.
Can I do?
Sir, come on.
Yes, please.
As well. Just a concern, I understand that, as a result of tonight's meeting, you're talking about doing revised RFP and going out looking at new vendors as well as getting quotes for that vegetation, there at the Gila Reserve Fund. I guess I'm just concerned about how long all of this might take, where we actually, are we gonna see any activity or any efforts to resolve, or are we looking at months now because it may require a new vendor entirely?
I mean, if the current vendor is being responsive and we've already engaged them for a quote, there's no reason. The only thing we're gonna get back by next meeting is both the quote for that as well as a draft RFP from additional companies. So if the quote comes back next month for your issue that we can action, then we could have that by next meeting to have to them that we wouldn't have even made a decision on new pond companies until December meeting. So it should be done before even, again, if the board actions
It's a
that.
separate issue from the.
It's a separate issue.
If we get them in time,
If-
then it'll be.
You're looking at a quote from another vendor plus the existing vendor.
Several other
or-
vendors.
Okay.
The existing vendor has a contractual obligation to maintain. Probably need to put more pressure on them to get
Yeah, maintenance is one side and then physical removal, we would ask them for a proposal for, to physically remove all of the stuff you see that's dead piled up. That's what we would
Yeah,
ask them
just-
for.
Again, didn't want it to drag on
No,
long before we hopefully see something.
No, I agree, and I do promise that I will be by this week, I do wanna see that area.
Okay.
So I can go back to staff going, okay, you know,
We're happy to show you.
so, yeah, I'll try to pop over there, and if and if somebody's home, great, if not,
Okay.
I won't trespass, but, cause I fall in, get caught, and probably not go.
Peter Street
Just
is back there. Yeah.
two additional questions. One is if you all can check the height of the trees in the road at Gila Loop, because
Any tree that needs to be trimmed will be trimmed within a month or two.
Okay.
Because
Because I saw a truck come by and he was so concerned about the trees that he came about 2 inches from hitting a pickup truck. And it was fortunate it wasn't an impact. And the other one is there's a lift station there at the entrance to Aquila Reserve. Is there any plan?
That's getting something across, I forget decided. I know Renee was talking about it about 2 weeks ago.
That's CDD. Yeah, cause they did have, plans covered.
Yeah, it had prototypes all the way across. Yeah. They had to get vehicles in there, relining the lift station. So
Right, access is key, they always do that.
Do you know when?
I don't know when, but I
Is that
can.
an us or is that an enterprise?
Enterprise.
Different board. Yeah, sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I did have one other alibi, sorry, I was going through some of these things. I know. The question on the minutes that we had from last meeting, get that resolved, I never heard what the final answer was.
They were in here,
The,
Minutes?
the minutes from the 2 meetings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're signing them right now.
oh, I know, that's why I asked.
That's what y'all approved.
Yeah, the minutes for both were in here,
Mhm.
Okay,
Both sets.
okay, then I need to go back.
July and August, yeah.
With the actual determination, well, I guess it didn't matter. 'cause
It didn't matter because you redid it
we
anyway.
did it anyway.
Right.
Thank you. The motion to adjourn?
Woo-hoo.
Second.
Second, third, fourth.
Thank you.
Thank you.
8:01.
Look at that. An hour early.
No one.
7:59.
Well, then you talk too much.